the trilogy, you were saving the galaxy from the get-go. So, if you really feel like you got time to go and explore.
Right, no pressure.
No pressure.
Exactly.
It's just like...
Start saving the galaxy right now, guys.
Exactly. So in this one, the stakes are high. Obviously, humanity and the other species that go with you, their fate lies in your hands. But we all want it to also feel like, no, if I want to just drive over that little mountain over there and see what's on the other side, I shouldn't feel like that there's anything holding me back from doing that, right?
No, we have the gameplay up right now.
That's right.
So this is Scott Ryder.
This is Scott Ryder, of course, and just to sort of set this up a little bit, so we're about an hour and a half into the game at this point. You've already arrived. A lot of people probably already seen the intro. We did the video a little while ago, the first 15. And you've actually landed on the first planet that was supposed to be your home, and things didn't go so well. But since then, you've also arrived with the Nexus. You've met up with them, and they're sort of like our citadel. They're sort of, this is where all the arcs are supposed to meet up. And it's this beautiful, shining space station, except, well, you'll see when you play the game, maybe things didn't go quite the way they expected there either. Nice. So now they are in desperate need of you, a Pathfinder, to go and find them a home. And the place that we're going to go to today, after we explore the Tempest a little bit, it was a place that the Nexus, while they were waiting for you, they were like, well, we got to do something. We're going to die out here, so let's try to set up a home here, even without a Pathfinder. Let's go try to set up a home on a planet. Looks dangerous. And we're going to find out what happened on that planet today. So
nice.
Yeah.
Like, one thing I was going to say that I love about this is that, like, the interface is, like, exactly like how the old games are. So you feel familiar, especially if you played all three. Yeah. And this is one of my favorite series, so I'm, like, super excited to see this. So, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we wanted things to feel familiar when even if you look at the lines of the Tempest, it's, and the architecture inside, it feels like, a spiritual successor to the Normandy, right?
Yeah,
so it feels familiar, but it also feels new, fresh. It's more sleek. It's not meant to be a military vessel. It's meant to be an exploration vessel. And of course, the thing that our fans love most, characters. The Tempest is filled with all your squad mates and crewmates. And I don't know, Mike, maybe you want to, let's just go have a chat with one of them over here.
We'll talk to Subi over here.
Yeah, our science officer, Subi.
Pathfinder. It's so wonderful to meet you. I'm Dr. Suvi Anwar, assigned to act as liaison between your crew and the Nexus science team.
Welcome to my team. I look forward to working
obviously,
with you.
just touching on it briefly, the Paragon and Renegade choices are gone from Mass Effect now. Why the decision to go that route and just sort of branch out and give us a little bit more sort of exploring within conversation?
No, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, when we started Mass Effect, we were coming off of KOTOR, remember?
Yeah.
And that was very light side, dark side.
Yeah. Sure.
Renegade, Paragon worked very well in that sort of type of thinking. But the other thing was, I always felt that Renegade Paragon was something that was very much associated with Shepard, the character themselves, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so with Shepard, sort of ending their story, moving on to something different, we wanted to try to get back to some of the RPG roots and that sort of sense of role-playing the character. I think one of the problems with, Renegade Paragon, people loved it, but you always kind of knew what your choice was going into a conversation. If you were doing a Renegade play, that's up to the right, right? So a couple of things we introduced were tones that, allowed you to have sort of professional, casual tones or emotional and sort of more intelligent thinking tones. But then we also introduced sort of more of an agree-disagree for moments of choice, right? So that, again, your choice to agree or disagree with someone would change based on the situation or based on the person you're talking to or whatever, right? So you could agree or disagree multiple times and, switch back and forth. It just keeps you a little bit more engaged, I think.
And is that going to drastically change the gameplay if I keep going back and forth with people all the time instead of just sticking with the course of positivity?
Yeah, no, what we wanted to do is, again, not make it so like you're trying to game the system and make it more like real life.
Sure.
Right? Where it's just like, right now, this moment feels like I want to be a bit casual and I want to be a bit cocky or something like that.
That's
and maybe this one wants to be a bit more professional at this point. We do kind of track some of that stuff, but it's not so much to make it, to gamify it. It's just more so that you can see what your character's like.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yep.
So here we see a professional and casual choice here.
Yep.
So I'll take the casual choice.
That's a lot of pages about dirt.
Oh, you don't have to be kind. I know it's barely more than a summary.
You can see some of the lighter tone there
Have we
as
just
well.
managed to get out there to see Helios? It's why I joined the initiative. The Milky Way was just a corner of a vast universe, a corner of a tiny corner. We're the ones who got to step out of that corner. It's incredible.
I guarded a mass relay for some time. I always wanted to see the other side.
I totally know what you mean.
So will you be joining us on missions?
Oh, that's funny. Me, out there, with the guns and the danger and everything.
And as much as we've been, people commented on the lighter tone, you don't have to take that path. It's just a lot of people choose to take it because it's a lot of fun. You know, you get to be a little bit more cocky or a little bit more whimsical if you want, sort of thing, right?
So here I could flirt with her if I wanted to, but to avoid some spoilers, we probably won't do that this time.
Okay.
Why should that be funny? You seem capable.
Oh, I'm flattered, but no. I have no combat experience. I'd shoot you in the back. Not intentionally, of course.
At least she's honest.
True.
Anyway, I've just received some instructions from the science team, and I really should go over them. Later, then.
So what do you think is going to give Ryder that edge that Shepard had, you know, when people would sort of grasp onto that character and they wanted to continue his story?
Yep.
What is it going to be about Ryder that people are going to be like, yeah, I like the humanity within that character?
You know, I think the primary thing was, and this was a big thing that we did to sort of set up the difference between Ryder and Shepard, is that, you know, Shepard started, they were a hero already, right? And so the trilogy was like going from a hero to a legend, almost, right? This really is Ryder, Scott and Sarah's first big adventure. So they actually grow and change throughout the course of this. They start off a bit unsure. You know, they're not natural born leaders. They have to earn that, right? So you actually get to see that progression as you go through it. And I think the nice thing about that is it aligns more with the player, because the player is new to the game. They're trying to figure everything out, and they also get better at everything as they go along. So I think just having that sort of tighter synergy, I think, is really going to help people sort of grab onto them a little bit more. But I think also the fact that, you know, you can be a little bit lighter with them at times, you know, for the people who want that. There's a bit more breadth of character in the Ryders than there was in Shepard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So like when you go to like the different areas, like say there was like a planet that you possibly went to before, like will you see like possibly things in the future, like from Shepard's world, kind of, with this game?
Sorry, I didn't catch what you meant by that.
Oh, like when you go to a different world, like say if you went in the original Mass Effects, like will you see like the path with Shepard, like in this game?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some acknowledgments of Shepard and stuff like that throughout the game.
Cool.
You have to kind of dig around and find them. We like to leave those in there for people to sort of explore and find.
Awesome,
you'll actually notice. Well, we kind of skipped over it today, but one of the first things, if you go into the character customizer, one of the first options is was your Shepard male or female? Because of course we need to know if we're going to reference them, were they male or female. So
nice.
I mean, that was a little hint that you know that will be in there. I think one of the biggest additions, obviously, for us was, you know, we've got this beautiful representation of the galaxy map, but space itself is really space. It is a level that we've created for here. So every time you go to a place, we actually see the transition from one planet to another planet, or to an asteroid, or to another system. And then, of course, when you arrive there, if you get out, you can see all of that outside of your window when you're traveling. So to me, we want to create a more open, free experience. Dropping to a 2D UI every time you want to travel between places kind of takes you out of that sense of immersion.
Sure,
of, no, I'm in a giant space adventure, right?
So are we still going to have that random, I was going to say, there's going to be anomaly stuff, and like then it just popped up. So like, yeah, there you go.
Right there.
Look at that.
So I'm going to shoot a probe at that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
I found an asteroid.
The great thing about, you know, again, I said it's about exploration. We wanted to, that one sort of theme, it permeates everything that we tried to do in Mass Effect Andromeda. So everything from space to the characters, the roles that you're playing, combat, all the gameplay. And so we really want you to feel like you're exploring space and discovering things here. So sometimes, you know, if you find an asteroid, like Mike did, you know, you're finding resources, and that'll help you along. But you can also find, you know, key elements to a plot, or you can just find lore. We always know that people just love to just, you know, learn about the new galaxy that they're in.
Sure. So when finding resources, how is that going to play out for my character? Why am I finding and discovering all these resources? Or why would I want to go seek them out?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really good question. You know, I think I talked about exploration, but the other sort of tension that we wanted to put on that was a sense of survival, right? Not just for humanity in Andromeda, obviously that, but also just that, you know, you didn't arrive in a place much like, you know, in the trilogy you arrived, you were given a ship, you were part of an organization, there was all of these resources that you had at your disposal, and that was fantastic. But in this one, what we want to create is a sense of, no, there really isn't much out there until you allow it to be out there. So that means that, you know, as you're looking for things, people aren't going to say, oh yeah, here's a whole bunch of resources for you. They'll be like, no, you want to build a new gun, you're going to have to go find the stuff to build a new gun, then find someone to build the gun for you, and then build the gun, right?
Nice.
Or do it yourself,
Okay.
or
Cool,
do it yourself if you want to do the crafting, right? So to me, I think that's the driving force for it.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and land on EOS then. As I got to EOS first, I scanned it. There's a whole bunch of information that came up with EOS about the available minerals, the types of things, the viability relative to it.
It seems like a desert world with significant resources.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not just reading that off the text right there. I was just,
Yep.
loadouts.
Yep, and as soon as,
Oh,
as soon as you go to land on a planet, of course, we bring up the loadouts, allow you to change your weapons, armor, bring consumables with you, and of course choose the squad that you're going to take down. And in the future, something else,
Okay.
which we'll find
all
out.
right.
We'll,
So
we'll cover that during this
Yeah.
this very session, if we get far enough.
Hope we're all that ready. Gallo. All right.
Integrating search area from SAM.
So I see some
Our pilot.
familiar races.
Yeah.
Yes, Solarian, our
Mm.
pilot.
Are you guys going to be maybe, I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler, are you guys going to be introducing any new races, or are we going to see some races that are familiar from the Mass Effect trilogy previously?
You mean today? But it's very.
Or just like
Or in
in
general?
general?
Yeah,
You're
I
going to
mean-
see some new things?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see some new things. We've already shown the Ket. We've seen little snippets of the Remnant. They're sort of like a robot race that's sort of been left behind, as you might have guessed, a Remnant. And they're actually guarding a lot of things here in the Milky Way that are important for you to discover.
And are there going to be sort of worlds to explore off the beaten path? Like, are there going to be like, oh, I can come across a random planet on this galaxy that I was just searching for? Doesn't really play into the main story at all, but I can just explore random planets.
We didn't come
We have a couple of planets that are a little bit more optional than others. But what we try to do is always at least touch planets with the critical path, so you had a reason to go to them and at least experience them once.
Nice.
But a lot of times the critical path, kind of, like I said, you're there for a little bit, and then it can take you away, and then it's up to you. Well, do I want to stay and explore this planet, or do I want to, follow that main storyline and just see what happens there? And, for the first time ever, we're also allowing you to continue exploring all of those planets after the critical story actually ends. So you don't have to do everything right up front. You can kind of be like, yeah, I just wanted to see the story, and I'll come back to this later. Although, there are some things that you could do along the critical path and in the exploration that would help you in the
Makes
final
sense.
moments of the critical path.
So if you want to just run and gun, gung-ho, like I'm going to get straight to the end,
Yep.
but if you explore more, different things might happen.
That's right, exactly. We want to
I
have
love
that. We
that,
want to have
like-
that sense of reactivity.
Yeah, I do love like the dialogue that's happening while going into the next like planet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Set us down at this nav point.
One of the things we really wanted to sort of draw out, certainly for the first time you land on each world, was that sense of, okay, well the promise is exploration. You went to a new galaxy, and what would people be feeling? What would they be thinking when they do that? And again, this is something I feel that we at BioWare and the Mass Effect trilogy really focus on, which is using characters to sort of bring those moments out. It's beautiful visual effects and explosions, all that is fantastic. But I want to care about it, and I want to see other people and what they're reacting to and how they're dealing with the situations. Like, for instance, here, we've landed on EOS, we've talked over some of the dialogue, but this is a failed site. So people tried to make a new living here, and now we don't even know what happened to them, and it's up to you to go and discover what's going on in this abandoned site.
Plus, no Pathfinder.
I love how safe the other guys are. Helmets.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't need them.
They're like, she can breathe this air.
Yeah, we should call out that is an option that you can set. You can actually have their helmets on all the time or off in conversations.
I was gonna say, Ryder's not taking any risks. He's like, you know what?
That's right.
I'm wearing a helmet.
That's right. Hey man, that's how you get to be the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Don't breathe bad air. But yeah, so here's our map. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Mike.
Well, I mean, we just landed here.
Yep.
The size of the space is massive relative
Yeah.
to where we landed. So we've got a lot of exploring to do, a lot of adventuring to do.
Yep.
But first, we're trying to find out what happened to the settlement.
And one of the things we want to do consciously on most of the planets, we actually want you to land on foot, like really get that sense of feet on the ground before you race off and and get in your Nomad, which we actually haven't got here yet. But just because there's always you want that opportunity to discover what is this planet about. We can tell you what it is about, I guess, in a cutscene. But I'd rather you explore in this area, learn what's the story of this world, what's the story of the people that are on it, and then figure out which path you want to take. Because things after this opening area just open up. You can go wherever you want, right?
And there's, look at that.
Yeah, and it's just like so free. It feels great.
Oh, the new Locomotion, honestly, is one of the biggest advancements we've done.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yep. We have the boost, we have the jump, we have you can combine them together, and then you have the hover, which I love. You can hover while you're actually tight aiming, and as you get more skill with it, it's a lot of fun to play with those techniques. And it just allows you to get wherever you want, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that, in the trilogy, you'd be able to walk up those stairs, but everything else was pretty much off limits to you because you know there was no jump and no movement. But you can climb up on the roof if you want, leap over things. Basically,
the
just go
power of the
wherever you want.
Pathfinder.
Yeah.
The power of the Pathfinder.
Exploring stuff.
You couldn't jump.
That's right.
Bro.
Yeah.
Step up your game.
That's right.
Commander.
Would be much of a Pathfinder if you had to just always follow one path, right?
Yeah.
This is a great little. It just flashed very quickly there, but I'll talk about is the search mechanic that we have. Again, in the sort of this sort of theme of exploration, we don't always want to point you directly to something. We'll actually point you in the general direction, and then all of a sudden you get this little search indicator that kind of tells you as you're getting closer, kind of a hot-cold mechanic as you get near it. Several of the plots use that just to encourage exploration again, encourage you to actually look around in the world and not just follow a specific dot on the UI.
That's always cool.
We suffered our first death today. Storm came out of nowhere.
And so, yeah, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, you know, one of the things, even in this opening area, which is desolate and you know, people are missing and they obviously something terrible has happened here, we filled it with lore, right? And I think that's one of the things, you know, really done a lot of world building this so that you really get a sense of what happened to these people when you're in here. There's a great little thing that happens later on, I don't know if we'll see it today, but where you can actually sort of use your scanner to sort of scan the past and sort of bring up recordings of what people were doing when they were still living here, and you can kind of learn about, you know, their plight as they were here, and then where some of the people ended up, and yeah, there's the scanner. It's a good example of it. So you'll notice right there at the bottom, you got 10 points. There's 3 different points that you can get when you scan something. So scanning actually is tied into our research and development. So basically, in order to craft something, what you want to do is have a blueprint, and those blueprints you can get from finishing a quest. You might just find it as loot. You could buy it at a store. But the other way you can do it is you can actually make those blueprints yourself. But in order to do that, you need research points. So as you go through and you scan things, you actually get research points that you can use to create blueprints.
That is cool.
And the reason there were 3 at the bottom is because there were 3 different tech tiers. There's the old Milky Way tech tier, so a lot of the guns and weapons that you're familiar with. Then there's the Helios cluster ones. But then there's a 3rd one, which we haven't quite got to yet, but it's the Remnant. And so you get to, and each of those has different perks and benefits as you follow those different paths if you want to examine them. And a lot of the sort of best sort of crafting items that you want, you actually have to use this mechanic to do. Although you can still find those items in the world, or buy them if you want. But if you really want to have clear access to them, then you're gonna want to craft them. Oh, you went bye-bye. Did you guys see what that was? Show them again. Zoom in on that.
Blastos.
Oh, Blastos.
Yeah? Come on. A little nod to the. It's nice to know that Blastos can make it all the way to Andromeda, right?
They're like Twinkies.
That's right.
It's like the never-ending treat. It'll be around forever. Well, what I was going to ask was, you mentioned like the lore within the world. Like the previous Mass Effect games, we had the lore to play off of with 2 and 3, playing off the first one. Recreating an entire new galaxy's worth of information. Like how much work goes into something like that? I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a Mass Effect game.
5 years. 5 years worth of work. That's how long.
But I mean, like, what is that like for you guys, getting to, you know, create an entire lore behind a game that could potentially, hopefully, see sequels in the future?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was one of the key things in going to Andromeda, I think, was, you know, part of the magic of the first Mass Effect was there was no Mass Effect. We were inventing it as we went. And I think a lot of the magic came from us being able to look forward and just imagine what would be possible. And obviously part of that was we were gonna commit to a trilogy. So as we did 2 and 3, you know, we were a bit more on the rails. We were still a lot of imagining and reacting to the fans and things like that in 2 and 3. But this was our opportunity to really start over. So, you know, first things first, we carried over as much of the lore as we could that made sense into Andromeda. But then we just started building on top of that. And I think that freedom for the developers and for the writers and the world builders is part of what, you know, will make Andromeda feel very fresh and new, right?
That means look at this place. It's a wasteland. The radiation in EOS's atmosphere makes it difficult to cultivate life.
Like even looking like in the horizon, you need to see how big this world is.
Oh yeah. We'll get you to a vantage point later where you can see it even better.
Nice.
They're actually talking about one of the new important mechanics. They're talking about radiation. So a lot of the worlds that you go to will have hazards on them. Now some of them, like this planet, has a global hazard, and there's sort of a perimeter around this area that's set up to keep it safe. We don't want to, you know, make it too difficult for the player right off the bat. But as you explore out on this planet, it's radiation. And what happens is you have a life support, and whether you're in the Nomad or you're out on your own, that life support will slowly go down. So you need to find safe zones in order to recharge your life support.
Even if you're in the Nomad?
Even if you're in the Nomad. It goes down slower if you're in the Nomad. It provides an extra layer. But if the Nomad's life support runs out, it blows up and you die, and that's terrible. So you don't want that to ever happen. But we also have localized hazards. So a lot of times you'll be going through and maybe there's just like a pool of acid or something like that, and that'll take your life support down like almost immediately. So just another sort of sense of survival out there, and just try to keep you aware that the world isn't necessarily a friendly place, or these worlds aren't.
Yeah. But I mean, introducing something like the jump pack,
yeah.
you know, it's like that adds a level of verticality that wasn't really in previous Mass Effect games before.
Yeah.
How does that change up the way you have to approach combat?
Oh, combat, level design, everything. Like it really changed all of those things. Even just the metrics for everything, right? Because all of a sudden, if you don't want a player to be able to get somewhere, well, that's a lot different than in the past.
I can
right?
hit this rock if I jump here and jump over here and jetpack over there. I can make it.
And honestly, I can't wait. I mean, we do as much testing as we can, but the players are going to get to places we didn't even know were possible, I'm sure, with this stuff, which is awesome. That's fun. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But, I think, when you look at all of the locomotion that we have, the boosts and the jumps, it makes combat feel much more fluid and dynamic than we've ever had before. And, of course, we've also got the procedural cover system. So pretty much anything that's out there, you can take cover behind, and it's not modal, so you just slide into it and slide out of it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, I find. Most people, especially if they're really familiar with the trilogy.
Snap cover.
They're just like, wait, this doesn't work the way I thought. But the nice thing is, like, this is for me, and I've seen other people do this. When you first start playing, you stick to cover quite a bit because, okay, I got to figure this out. But now you're not kind of stuck to it anymore. And as you get a bit better, you find yourself just kind of running into combats and doing crazy stuff, and not using the cover that much, and then you up it to hardcore insanity, and you're back in cover again.
See, now I'm really curious about like the enemies. Like, we don't want to spoil it, but like, I'm hoping that something will pop out so we can see some action.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some action here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're taking it slow. We're taking it slow so we can look around and take a look at some of the stuff here. But
I do like there's so much you can explore in here, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and we're actually kind of just getting the critical path elements into this out of the way. But all the buildings in there are explorable, although some of them need the power to come on before you can actually explore them. You run up there. I like what happens when you run up here.
Or really, Ryder.
You got Callow, our pilot, saying, "What are you doing running on my ship?"
You guys, taking pride in his ship. Don't want anybody just walking all over his ship.
Yeah.
Just coming out here.
And this is the first sort of open world that you get to land on. And so we do gate things a little bit with this. We want to teach you a few things on it. But all the other worlds that you land on, you really are, it is just free form. Like you land, just go do what you want if you want. Yeah.
It's like, look, we did land. There's the ship.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's parked right there out in front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys want to see a little bit of combat. Mike's going to show us a bit here.
All right, here we go.
Here we
Get down
go.
to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Of course, you can still give your squad commands like you could before. Move them in different locations. You can, with the left and right D-pad, you can send them individually, or if you push up on the D-pad, you send them both at the same time, either to a position or to attack. And hopefully we'll see some of Cora's moves. She's got some cool moves. These dropships are a real pain in the butt. You'll see them all throughout the game. Now, so these guys, these are the Ket. One of the interesting things is that while we find them here in Andromeda, they're not actually native to this area. So that's one of the little mysteries that we find, that they're here as invaders themselves.
Where are they from?
Where are they from? Exactly.
Where did they come from?
Exactly. And you see a lot of the, he's got a concussive shot there. You see a lot more physics reactivity on the characters, and that just ties in well. When we move a little bit further in to the game, you've got 3 powers at once. You're using a lot of biotics. Guys are flying in every which direction.
Oh man.
And you can see he's nailing them with the headshots there. Liam's down. So this is similar to our multiplayer before.
What are you doing, bro? Come on.
I know.
It's their first battle. He's like, I wasn't expecting it. Ryder, help.
Yeah. Again, that's why you're the Pathfinder.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta.
That's why maybe if he was wearing his helmet,
True.
would have been a little safe.
Exactly.
Should have thought of that.
Think about these things when
That's
you're going
right.
into battle. Like, maybe I should throw this on and just a little extra protector.
Yeah.
Maybe just like a helmet.
So basically what we've learned so far this, as far from a story perspective, is that this guy had shut down the power. This guy we're about to meet here.
Sure, use the power relay. Hell, take whatever you like.
but he was turning off the power so he wouldn't draw the Ket, who are quite prolific on this planet.
Arrive. Shuttles aren't fun in these winds. You need wheels. I think they kept a little something in storage.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another look around the outpost.
Just finding it won't be enough. Hope you're smarter than we were. We're heading to our shuttle. Keep this up. Maybe next time we'll find more than just salvage around here.
Giving them
Don't
hope.
suppose you've got anything we can use?
One Pathfinder at a time.
That's right.
Oh.
And so he's actually a store. So every once in a while, scattered throughout the world, so you can find stores and talk to people, trade things.
Nice.
One of the interesting things we've done is that he was mentioning salvage. So obviously, you go to a new galaxy, credits don't mean that much, except for maybe the people that are on the Nexus and stuff like that. So really, what most of the funds that you find are by finding salvage, and then whenever you get to a store, you can actually just trade that salvage. And just it's a bit more of an in fiction, like we wouldn't all be running around finding credits everywhere. So.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
These people just keep leaving all their money all over the place. So nice of you.
It's funny how the Ket have the exact same currency system as we do. Yeah, we wanted to avoid things like that.
Yeah.
So Mike's now going to go see what it takes to find our Nomad. What was one of the other new things you saw there? That was actually some loot. Enemies now drop loot.
Okay.
So it's actually as you go through, a lot of the combats and stuff like that. A lot of times it's actually important to find stuff as you're going. One of the things we've done with our loadout system is, if you find something you want to equip it, you equip it when you find it, right? So it's important that you pay attention when your loot comes up, so you know to equip it then. Yep.
There's obviously there's going to be a way to equip it later on.
Oh yeah.
So you'd be like, you got this sweet weapon. Did you equip it? Nope, it's gone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's that we really believe in consequence in the Mass Effect. You have a decision to make.
But one chance.
That's right.
Bro.
There's
Do you
one
take
chance.
this
No.
one or this one?
No. Okay, let's clear that up. No. So like you saw when you landed, you can change your loadout. There's a place on the Tempest itself where you can do your loadouts whenever you want.
Okay.
And in about 3 or 4 minutes here, we're going to show you forward stations, which is another place on planets. When you're out here, you can change your loadout as well.
Go slow.
For sure. We'll follow your lead.
A warning. Radiation levels beyond the perimeter of Site 1 are well above acceptable limits. You cannot proceed without additional protection. So if that structure can make a difference here, well, that would be really good.
Sounds like it would be.
We better find that vehicle Clancy mentioned.
All right, now let's find the Nomad.
Yeah. Okay.
Viability.
So viability is one of the key mechanics when you're going to all these planets. So we have two types of viability. We have what we call AVP, which is Andromeda viability. And so almost anything you do, whether
I thought it was
it's
Aliens versus Predator for a second. I'm like, what?
I know.
Crossover.
I know. I keep telling people it was the least worst 3-letter acronym we came up with. There was a lot of really bad ones, and in the end, that's one we went with. But so anything you do, whether it's critical path story moments, whether it's out here exploring, anything like that will give you AVP over time. And as you do that, you actually you unlock the ability to sort of wake up people from cryosleep. And that starts to populate the Nexus, but it also gives you perks as you do it. So you get to choose: do I want to wake up military people? Do I want to wake up scientific people? Do I want to wake up more trades-oriented people? And you can choose perks in that. So, and it kind of happens on a linear scale as you go throughout the game as you're doing that. So that's AVP. But then each planet itself also has its own viability that you're trying to do, and that's important because until a planet reaches a certain viability level, you can't do much on it. So you couldn't, for instance, put down an outpost on it. But that is one of the things that eventually, if we get the viability high enough here on EOS, we can bring down an outpost, a whole new little area with new quests and new people in it, stores and other things that you can do. And it actually starts to change the way the world appears and what you can do on it.
So it adds even more to a world that you potentially already cleared out.
That's right. Yep, exactly. And a lot of times also just takes you out, the quest will take you out to places where you haven't necessarily gone before. Right?
This must be what Clancy
More of a reason to explore more of the planet.
Yep.
from a forward station.
Yep.
And obviously, besides sort of like the mission stuff and the stuff that you're sent out to do, there's more to find and discover when you're searching around these planets.
Oh, totally. I mean, one of the really important things is, this is your first one, so again, there's a lot of tutorial here, and this one's very much framed around the sort of idea of humanity's first settlement. But the other worlds you go to, many of them are alien worlds, and there's already either aliens there or other people situated there. They all have their own story and their own unique narrative, and a lot of them even have like a main quest line that goes through them. Actually, all of them have a main quest line that goes through them with usually an important decision. So a lot of times you can just say, you know what, tonight I'm going to do this planet, and actually maybe tonight's aggressive. It might be today and tomorrow I'm going to do this planet. But you can actually follow the story throughout it. Just get lost in that one world and enjoy it, and just focus on everything's there. And all the stories interwoven, unlike Mass Effect 1, where the worlds are beautiful, but they were a bit barren. We've really threaded a lot of content throughout these, and I think that's actually an important point, which is, the game isn't just bigger, from a footprint size. We've actually put a lot of content in here. I was looking at the stats actually recently from Mass Effect 3. I think we had something like 670 unique characters, that would speak to you.
Yeah.
In Mass Effect 3, we've got over 1,200 in this one. And when you look at the dialogue options, we're basically the equivalent of Mass Effect 2 and 3 put together.
Wow.
Right?
That is
so
amazing.
So it's not just about, hey, we created these big, vast open areas. We actually populated it with story as well and narrative.
That's so cool.
So to get to the Nomad, we had to call down a forward station because we have no codes. So forward stations, Mac, I don't know if you want to talk about this.
Forward station deployment.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So these things are all sort of hovering in orbit, waiting for you to discover locations as you go through the world, and they're really critical, because one of the things you'll notice when you're in them, we're already safe here, but that little ring there, if it was in a hazard zone, that would protect you and allow your life support to recharge as well for you and the Normandy, or you and the Nomad. So that would allow you to sort of come in here and find a little bit of a safe zone. If you lose the Nomad or you're far away from it, you can also call the Nomad to you. It also replenishes your stores, your health, and your ammo.
Nice.
But then it's also got, I love these, they've got these little sort of terminals that you can access. And as you find more of them, it tells you a kind of ongoing sort of story of what you're discovering about the world, usually from a geological or weather perspective sort of thing of what you're discovering there. And then, of course, it'll also let you change your loadout, which is what we were talking about before. So if Mike wanted to change his loadout here, he could do it. He could also change who's with him. It's like, oh no, I actually want to take Vetra with me now. Okay. You can change it right here.
Cool. Awesome.
And one of the things that we just saw, hopefully we can touch back on it after.
Yeah, I was wondering what was in there.
Oh, what's in there?
Oh,
there it is.
Nice, nice.
Nice little reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Skirt!
Six-wheel Nomad. And this thing is a lot of fun to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Oh, yeah, no, was just talking about the upgrades for your character.
Right.
It looked, to the skill set thing.
Yep. So I think it's really important, and we've talked about this before, but this is probably one of the biggest changes to the way sort of you level up your characters. In the past, you would have chosen, I want to be a Vanguard right at the beginning.
I see branches.
Yeah, I see that.
That's right. Or I want to be a soldier, right? In this game, all of the powers are available to everybody at any time, so you just choose. And then what you do afterwards is, after you've chosen which powers you want, we have what we call profiles, and the profiles roughly map to those different classes, but they're more about giving you perks based off of your choices as opposed to predefining which path you should take, right? So in this case, Mike's going to add Incinerate, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, because lighting things on fire.
That's right.
Always a smart idea.
Fun.
True.
Yep.
True.
And when he confirms it, there you go. So you can see he's still got the soldier. Most of his points right now are in combat, so the soldier profile is the one that's available to him. But if he were to put more points into tech skills, then we'd start to see other profiles become available. If you put them, if you want to go into the biotic skills, his Vanguard profile will come up.
Can you just do that at any time, or do you have to do a certain thing before you can?
No, as long as you have 3 skill points. So here's the Infiltrator, for example. If I did 3 in combat, 3 in soldier rather, and 3 in tech.
Yep.
Oh, it's got a little unlock thing at the okay.
Yeah. And what'll happen is it'll actually tell you when you have new skills unlocked, and then as you unlock skills, it'll tell you when you get new profiles unlocked as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's much more free form, and it's fun. I'm watching people play it. Some people are of the mind that they choose 3 powers and they just master those 3 powers, and that's all they do. But there's other people who are just like, no, I'm all over the map. I want to try all these different things.
Yeah.
And you can do that if you want. We even the Explorer profile is kind of designed for those people. It's like if you just have a little bit in everything, you still get your perks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I remember the first Mass Effect game there was a lot of choices you could make to and which you wanted to upgrade. And then by the third one, they kind of like, we're just going to narrow it down to sort of this.
Yeah.
And maybe you can open up something else. But this is just like, here's everything.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go.
That's right.
Choose your path, Pathfinder.
That's right. Exactly. And there are certain skills that aren't available until you put certain amount of points into other things. So that not everything is there, but you can preview it and see what's there.
Okay.
So you can kind of get a sense of which path you might want to head down. Yeah.
And maybe whoever else.
So I think I found a crafting area that could do research and development.
Crafting?
Yeah, so we talked about that before.
Take some salvage.
Yeah.
Is there an item limit, first thing?
There is a, you have an item limit. You can see there, 9 out of 50.
Oh, okay.
See it at the top left there? So you start with that. Remember I mentioned the cryopod perks earlier. So waking people up, your AVP. One of the perks you can do there is to increase your item limit if you want to increase that. Things like salvage credits, some of the sort of materials, they don't take up room.
Oh, do they stack on top of each other? So
Yep,
it's like,
they stack on each other, but they also don't take up room at all. Like we just say they don't. But it's more things like things that you could buy and sell at a store, like your weapons, your armor, blueprints, things like that. So on the left side, this is what we were talking about before. If you want to go in there, Mike, this is the research side of things. So if you see at the top there, there's 3 different tech tiers. We're in the Andromeda one, then we went to the Helios one, and then there's a mysterious third one, which isn't available yet, because we're about to learn about that sooner. You can see that Mike's already scanned enough sort of Milky Way things that he has 50 points. There's probably not much you can do with 50 points at this point. But once you get enough of those, you can go in. Let's say you want to build one of those, clicks on it, and you'll see how many tiers there are of this. So if you want to pick one, there you go.
Oh, wow.
There's actually five tiers. So the weapons actually evolve over time. So does the gear. It evolves over time. So it kind of keeps pace with your progression as you go. But like I said, he doesn't really have enough points in here. And this is just to build a blueprint for sort of a special item. If he wanted to actually just build something and craft something right now, what we could do is, you're going to do an augment. Nice.
Yeah, I'll research an augment here.
Good for you.
Aerial lubrication. Very highly touted in the world of Andromeda.
The cool thing about augments actually are, you remember mods from the trilogy, like certain weapons and armor allow you to put mods in them so you can take in and out, and they just give it an extra bonus. An augment is something that you can put in only when you craft it, that one time, but usually they're quite powerful. So some of them will, like one of my favorites is you can basically turn all your projectiles into heat-seeking plasma. So imagine the sniper rifle that always hits. Right, but you can. but here is where
please.
Yes, but here is where the choice comes in. Is that when you craft that augment, it gives you one version of it, and it gives you the ability to now find that augmentation in the world, but you can never craft it again. So you want to make sure you use it, appropriately.
So you can't just have heat-seeking everything.
And do I want to put it on my level 1 or my level 2 pistol, or do I want to save this augment maybe and put it on a level 5 later on? I don't know. Right. So
now you guys are getting tricky.
Yeah, we're getting tricky.
I was like, I'm going to have heat-seeking level 1 sniper rifles that are just never going to miss.
That's right.
Let me get that level 5. It's like, can't heat-seek.
So on the right side here, once you get into the development side, these are all the blueprints that you either have or could have in the future, and some of the ones that you can build. So I think it looks like you've got about 4 that you could probably build right now, or 6 on the left-hand side there. So those are the ones that we actually have enough materials for, and this is where materials become important. So if you see at the bottom there, it calls out the different materials you need. If you hit triangle there, or there, it'll actually give you a little bit more detail on the weapon that you're going to check out if you want. Or, sorry, Y, yep. But yeah, and then when he goes to create it, he can actually rename it.
What?
And this is really helpful if you put an augment in it, I find. Anyway, because I want to go, well, this is my heat-seeking plasma-matic.
It's my face melter sniper rifle.
Right. Or you could give it something more creative than I just did. Right? But,
I thought face melter was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I just crafted a Matic then.
There you go. And you got skills and you just leveled up, so he's actually going to be able to skill up here if he wants.
Just like that. Boom.
And maybe we'll open up I bet you do this, you'll be able to open up a new profile as well, which would be great.
Oh, so close.
You've got it. You should have enough. It should be 3 points in each. Let's see, back out. Yes. Boom.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Infiltrator unlocked. Right. So now if he goes over, and you can see the difference between the combat and the soldier and the infiltrator perk there. Right.
Weapon accuracy, weapon stability. Yes.
Yeah. Now one of the other interesting won't show off very well at the opening of the game here, but if you bring out if you go back into that, Mike, we can show them how you can set up favorites, right? So if you go in here, if you just hit the main menu there, you'll go into favorites. So what you can do is you can actually take your 3 current powers and your current profile that you've got and map them to a favorite, right? And you can do that up to 4 times throughout there. So right now that's his current one. And then when you're playing the game, when you just quickly tap to bring up your weapon wheel. One more tap, you can actually see your favorites switch. So like while you're in the middle of a fight, you're like, okay, this is my infiltrator sniper profile. I want it, but you realize, oh no, what I really want is my Vanguard profile for this fight, right? Or for this area that I'm in. You just swap it, just right on the fly.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So it's like you have multiple riders with you at a time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, you know, the fun thing is the narrative sort of conceit for all this, like it's important to us that these things are internally consistent, is that you have Sam, you have this AI who is sort of connected to you and helping you sort of manage all of these different profiles. And there's a little bit of a story about how they can do that. Technically, a Sam shouldn't be able to do that to you, but they can, so that's an interesting storyline that people should follow when they get in there.
All these secrets. So many secrets.
So many secrets.
So little time until we can discover them.
And so you see as he charges there, he's turning visible. That's actually just a nice little visual perk that you get from choosing the Infiltrator profile.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
yep.
that's why I wasn't happening before. Okay.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So here, we can change our weapon. He just made a new Matic. Bam. You can see the mods. I don't know if you have any mods. No, you probably don't have any mods. But you could put a mod in there if you wanted to.
Matt made the Matic. Not surprised.
And then we could also change out our characters here, just to keep it fresh. The nice thing is, you probably heard them bantering back and forth. Depending on which pair you bring, they always have different things to say.
Yeah.
Some of it is kind of what we call global, in the sense that, you know, throughout the course of the game, they kind of develop a relationship, and some of it's more contextual. So they'll be talking about this planet specifically, or where we are at. But depending on who you bring, it's always a little bit different, and it's fun because whether you're out, you know, walking, you know, like this, or if you get the Nomad, they kind of talk away at you in the backseat, comment on your driving skills, things like that.
Is there going to be, I mean, obviously, everybody loves them some alien relationships.
True.
Alien relationships,
Are you going to be able to further your relationships with each individual member of your crew?
Yeah, so everyone that's on the Tempest, whether they're a squad mate that goes with you on missions or whether the crew, they all have very involved relationship arcs. I think I mentioned it somewhere recently, and someone's been quoting it back to me, but it's true, which is our lightest squad mate, so least amount of dialogue lines in Andromeda is larger by dialogue line count than our largest was in Mass Effect 3, right? So we've kind of doubled down on that. And part of that's just the length of the game and how much you're in there and the amount of things that we want, you know, the world to seem reactive to.
So now I see the radiation here happening.
See?
Over
Now,
here.
yes,
Okay.
that's a good example. So as he comes out of here, so this area is a safe zone. There's different planets, like on, we have one called Eladin. It's actually shadow keeps you safe because there's so much heat there, right? So when you go in the shadow, you're safe. When you're out in the open, you're more exposed, and it starts to, your life support starts to go down. And if you were to get out of the vehicle, his life support will go down even faster.
Wow.
So, yep.
So,
But it's not punishing. We're not, unless there's a specific zone that we're trying to, you know, get you in for a while.
Yeah.
Generally, it's not something that you have to constantly be checking on, but it is a little tension that you have to kind of be paying attention to, and also a nice reminder that these worlds are very hostile and dangerous.
Yeah, true.
And one of the things I don't really remember the previous Mass Effect games tampering with was sort of elemental effects, like weather effects. I mean, I know there were, but you mentioned like having to stay in the shadows because it's too hot. Are you guys going to be doing that a lot within the game? Like, you're going to be playing with different environments and different sort of elements? And
Yeah, we try to really make, like, another example is Vold, which we've so few people have seen. It's blizzards and cold spots and things like that.
So Vold is cold.
Vold is cold. That's how you remember it. It's
Nice.
very easy.
Okay.
EOS doesn't rhyme with radiation, but we'll figure that one out. But yeah, I mean, we want each of the worlds to sort of feel like it has its own personality as well. That was one of the things I often asked early on when we were developing these, is what is the story of this world? I want to know what its story is. Like, even before we talk about who lives there and everything, like, what's the story of the world and why is it the way it is? Keep in mind that narratively speaking, all the planets that we're going to travel to, including this one, were identified as these golden worlds from afar. Like, you know, from the Milky Way.
Sure.
And when they got here, they went, this isn't what we thought. So something has clearly gone on here, and it might have something to do with these giant, you know, alien structures we've got here. But, you know, it's more interesting to sort of get there and obviously find you have to do something to make these places livable, as opposed to, oh, welcome to Hawaii, I guess your job is done.
Yeah, true.
So, let's discuss the Nomad a little bit.
Yeah.
Got
Mike,
a new vehicle?
Yeah, Mike was...
Six-wheel drive?
Yep, Mike was just driving it up there, and you noticed that it was kind of slipping. It wasn't getting traction as he was going up there. You can actually go into a six-wheel drive mode, which gives you much more traction. One of the other nice things is that you can actually upgrade the Nomad over time. So if you want to improve the speed, because the sort of 6-wheel drive mode is a little bit slower, I find it's great if you're on ice or if you're trying to not fall off a giant precipice somewhere or something like that. It's good for that, not just going up hills. But if you want to be able to, get it going so it's a little bit faster later on, you can do that. You can also increase just the overall durability of it as you go. And it's also got a shield that you can put around it, so when you get out of it, it actually kind of shields you a little bit. Nice. So because a lot of times you'll use it. I mean, I do. I kind of drive up to a fight, hop out, and actually use it as cover, right? So
here's an example of the steepness of a hill I wouldn't be able to get up just on 4-wheel drive. But if I slam it into 6-wheel drive there, it gives me the traction I need to get up.
Instant. Yeah,
we even like a space Hummer.
Yeah, exactly. And we even have a fun one which I like. It's called like an agility mode that you add in later. Think of it like a sport mode. It basically turns off all the things that help you drive it, so you can do a lot more donuts and goof around with it if you want. Originally, we kind of had that as the default, but then we found people were just crashing all over the place. So, we're gonna go in here, and you talked about relationships. You talked about characters, being that this is sort of one of the first areas. We're actually going to find someone who's already on this planet, who's kind of important to us. You might recognize. I think Mike's got to do a little bit of exploration first. So
I'm picking up initiative tech nearby from above us.
There, look, up near that scaffolding.
So the scanner actually can help you also find things when you're in these sort of alien areas. You see it's highlighted here, but there's also sort of like a little indicator of what we're trying to find, right? And as he scrolls around. So, you could be the kind of player who's like, I'm just going to find it on my own. But if you want that extra hint, pull out the scanner, see what's around you. And then it's up to you to figure, okay, well, now, how do I get up there? Being that this is the first one, this one's easier. But some of these areas get much more puzzle-oriented later on.
Random symbols.
In fact, we've shown images of the Remnant vaults before, and a lot of those involve a lot of puzzle solving, environmental sort of challenges as you're going in there, and your ability, sort of what we call interface with this Remnant technology, is critical to that. As you can see, again, this is something our level designers had a lot of fun with, right? Because in the past, we never would have put something up here for you to find. It would have just been a visual eye candy. But now, if you can get to it, it should be part of the story. It should be part of the game, right?
I love that.
And you can see part of the view out there. I don't know if Mike can. You can see how vast the world is.
Jeez,
can I go all the way down there?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can drive all the way around that lake, and there's stuff even beyond that. Like this level is very big.
So that's what a lot of people do. They're like, can I hit the top of that mountain? Can I drive to the top of that?
Yep. You can. Yeah. We haven't even got to the area. I mentioned the outpost earlier. We haven't even gotten near the area where you can put the outpost down eventually. Here we go.
Connection. I apologize for any discomfort. The system seems unstable.
This what happened when my dad tried doing this?
Your father interfaced directly with the atmosphere processor. That proved extremely hazardous. These structures could reveal its control center. System remains unstable. Doubling our power input might accelerate the process.
I'll give it a shot.
Here we go.
Do it, Ryder.
Here we go. Who could it be?
Back up, literally.
Oh, snap.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, easy. You've come this far. Just let it ride. I've been studying this tech for months. I don't know how you activated those glyphs, but you have to let them cycle through their channels.
Our interrupts from before. We call them narrative actions now.
Trust me, okay?
He didn't take it this time, but you can if you want. But who would want to push her off?
I know,
right?
I know. Who am I? I mean, it's obvious who you are. I saw the ship swoop in. You're a Pathfinder. I was beginning to think the initiative just made you guys up so the rest of us wouldn't lose hope, but you're for real, huh?
You're damn right.
Yeah.
That's how it goes down.
Yep.
Are you for real? You were going to tell me who you are.
I might just be the solution to all your problems.
Oh, maybe.
Wow,
Looks like maybe you did
look at
something.
that.
Oh, yes.
System has stabilized.
So you can
I'm
see,
establishing a connection.
There are these vast areas, there's lots of things to explore, but the storytelling is still critical throughout, right?
Crap.
We want to have these moments where character focused, help move things along, right?
What are they?
Later, just take them out.
Uh-oh.
Keep targeting that one.
This is just a taste.
I know.
A taste.
We haven't even
Yeah.
gotten into
This-
the whole thing yet.
Oh no, like you are, well, I mean, when he finishes his combat, we'll pull up the pull up the map. We'll look at the viability. He's done a few things on this planet, but you'll notice that we're not very far along.
And this is only like the first like planet too, so there's like so much.
I'm
really excited.
And then there's the whole critical path. Plus we have sort of hubs that you can, story hubs that you can go to, and then the loyalty missions as well, right?
Yeah.
And as much as possible, those are all interwoven into these planets or near them. Sometimes you're going to a moon and.
My first tangle with the Remnant was a lot messier.
There she
is. These
Remnant.
the Observer and Assembler bots. They're all the remnants of something much bigger.
Yes.
There you go.
But that's too.
You're going there. I'm staying there. There or the other way? No. You're here. You're here.
We did this wrong.
Wow, you guys look amazing. It's really amazing to be back here. It's been 5 years. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for waiting for 5 years. We've got a lot of amazing things to show you today. And just as a quick warning, there may be some spoilers that we're going to see today. So when we start playing the game, if you don't want spoilers, cover your ears, cover your eyes, do whatever you have to, get out. But we hope you stay. We hope you watch it. One of the things I just wanted to quickly talk about before we started was, I said it's been 5 years. And when we developed the idea for Andromeda, a lot of people would assume that we were thinking, why wouldn't you do a Mass Effect 4? Mass Effect trilogy was very popular. There's so many stories left to be told, but we wanted to sort of give it some time, but we also wanted to sort of let the trilogy sort of end and then move on into something that allowed us to do something amazing. And I think one of the things that gave us the opportunity to be so forward thinking with the original trilogy was this sort of idea of anything was possible. And so this was part of the concept behind Andromeda. We're taking it to a whole new galaxy. And I think that really allowed the people who are up here today and all the team out there to really sort of go back to imagining and sort of finding that magic that made Mass Effect so special. So today we're going to see a lot of things that hopefully will be familiar if you're a Mass Effect fan, but we're also going to see a lot of new things. It's really a fresh start. It's a fresh start for the team, and it's a fresh start for the franchise as well. It's something that's very centered around exploration. But today we're actually going to take a look at Liam Loyalty. We've mentioned that loyalties are back for those of you who love them, so this is a very character-focused mission. One of the things is, we've talked a bit about how there's a slightly lighter tone in Mass Effect Andromeda. And because this is a loyalty mission, it's actually even a little bit lighter, but it kind of helps to play off the character of Liam. Rest assured, there are some very serious moments in the game, and even serious moments later on in this mission that we might not see today. But without that, I actually just realized I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Mac Walters. I'm the creative director. And with that, we're going to start. Thank you. And with that, there will be time for Q&A at the end, so we'll make sure we do that. But I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
So I start. You excited, guys? Okay. Because we are. So I'm Fabrice. I'm the Mass Effect producer for BioWare Montreal.
And I'm Joel McMillan. I'm the art director on Mass Effect Andromeda.
I'm Kathleen Rootsard. I'm one of the lead writers for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mike Gamble, producer on Mass Effect Andromeda.
Jessica Campbell, space lead and LD for the Tempest.
Ian Fraser, lead designer.
Awesome. I guess with that, we'll take it away.
Yeah.
Ian.
Ian is the guy that you have to try to convince to die repeatedly as he plays for you. He's very, very good at the game. This is probably one of the times he's going to die for sure.
Pretty much guaranteed.
Yep.
So as we mentioned, this is Liam's Loyalty that we're starting in. But we're actually going to, I believe we're going to start on the Tempest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And Jess is our space lead. She lived, breathed, and died on the Tempest, I think, many times over, didn't you?
She died a lot more than she lived, but she definitely, she finished it off.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at the Tempest, if you're familiar with the original trilogy, there was a pretty big shoes to fill with the Normandy. So I think where we came, we're touching it.
Yeah.
As you know, if you played the game before, there was the galaxy map. So a big thing for us was the whole experience of space, because this is a science fiction game in space. With that, when we were looking at it, we wanted to keep elements that we were familiar with the galaxy map, but push it further. Looking at the Frostbite engine and where we were, we really wanted to create this visual stunning experience. It's immersive. As you can see, when you go into it, it's not necessarily the in-game UI. You would walk up into the middle of the ship and just look at the UI and fly a ship around. We are at the front of the ship on the bridge, and we are interacting with space. It's a lot more engaging. Probably one of the best parts we've got is as you fly around the galaxy, when you go to different locations, you get the experience of actually moving through the system. You'll be passing asteroid fields, different planets, sailing through moons.
One of the things we tried to focus on the art side was actually making space feel as volumetric and dense as possible without it just seeming like a skybox. So as you fly through space, you'll see there's a lot of nebulas and a lot of solar or different types of anomalies that you can pass through, all to give a sense of density to the space experience.
So one of the things we were really excited about with this and the new design of the Tempest was when you travel to different locations, once you exit the galaxy map, what you see outside the window is the location you just flew to. And what's really different with the Tempest is because we have different windows, when you actually leave, you can walk around. In the meeting room is a 360 panorama, so you could just look around and see this location you're at. So.
Or if you want to have a romance.
Or if you have a romance.
In your Pathfinder's quarters, you might want to park it outside the blue
nice
nebula
comet.
instead of the pink nebula.
Got my backdrop.
Right?
We're good for sexy times.
It's an actual thing you can do.
Sexy times. And there you go.
You see here that we're actually here orbiting this red sun, totally different system.
Yeah. And that was actually one of the key elements for the design of the Tempest itself, was trying to give as much open space so you can see out into external space as possible. Previously with the Normandy, we intentionally didn't have any windows because we didn't have the same kind of technology that we have in Frostbite. So a lot of those windows were closed off or very minimal, so you just kind of see some shimmer outside of that window. But for our game, because we are focused a lot more on exploration, we wanted to open that up as much as possible. So we tried to present, windows along the whole front of the cockpit of the Tempest, at the back, in your Pathfinder's quarters. And that actually applied to the characters as well in Andromeda. A lot of our helmets now have the sense of an open visor, which is meant to be kind of an exploration visor rather than how we had it previously in the trilogy, where they're all combat visors, very metallic and closed in.
So by this point in the game, you've done a lot of cool stuff with Liam. You and him are buds. You've explored the galaxy a little bit together, and you've kind of built up some trust and a good relationship with him. So at a certain point in time, he comes to you, and as a good squad mate does, needs your help. So that sets up this mission roughly. And then you have to obviously travel to this area, this debris field, which then kicks it off.
And Liam has a plan. You'll hear about the plan as you play the level and how well that plan goes.
Liam is sort of your colonial specialist.
All right,
He's
set to go.
He helps you found
Somewhere.
This is on me. I'll take care of it. Any sign of the pirates who took my contact?
There's too much background radiation. Could be anything hiding out there. All that debris in orbit.
That tracks. Heard they were scavengers. I'd hoped Bradley or some of our colonists would follow. Join in.
We'll make do with what we've got. What's the plan?
Somewhere out there is a ship full of pirates. They might have our specs.
Thanks to you.
Yes, thanks to me. So we can't go in hot. I say we play to their scavenger routes with that debris. I'll explain in the airlock. We've wasted enough time. Let's hit the go button, shoot pirates, and save people. We've got this.
Kathleen?
Don't get cocky, Ian.
Okay.
So at this point, if you don't want to have
got is a
spoilers,
chance.
you have to close your eyes for the next 20 minutes.
Here's two.
We play this right, they'll deliver us just where we need to go. I have a plan.
One of the things we were also playing up quite a bit, as you saw, was just the interplay between the characters on in your crew and in the squad.
Come on. Hiding in derelict cargo to get scavenged. Sure, we don't know what we're up against. Neither do they. Trojan horse simple.
The Greeks didn't need to worry if Troy had air.
There's air. This isn't right.
Liam, you said to expect pirates. This is a catch ship. A big one.
Change of plan? Okay, it's a catch ship, but scavenging isn't the MO.
Alarms, Liam.
Doesn't change why we're here. Find Moran and get out. Somehow.
This is already a good example of how the spaces are more open.
We have stoves. We have stoves.
So Ian, what are you playing as right now? What's your profile set as?
I'm actually set as an adept right now. A mix of biotic abilities. You're totally gonna make me talk while I'm trying to. Totally not cool, man. I also have a Sentinel build set up on a different favorite.
Cover! Cover! Oh.
Seriously? Seriously?
I will never do that again. Again, our lead designer.
Wow.
I'm never going to lift this one down.
Why'd you make this?
All right,
so hard?
part two. Someone else talk about the profiles.
Yeah.
So can we have the art director play, please?
Yeah. No, you don't want that. I'll be like looking at the ceiling the whole time.
We have stoves. We have stoves.
Just going back to Fabrice's note, actually, about the size of some of the spacing on the catch ship. It was interesting. That was one of our challenges early on when we decided to use jump as one of our main. Please, Ian. Did you do that just to cut me off?
No. We, I think somebody pranked him and put it hardcore.
No. Did you put it in Infinity?
I can't even type with someone looking over my shoulder. I can't imagine what it
As you can
is.
see, this is a cover-based shooter.
We have stoves. We have stoves.
Good job, Cora. She's got it back.
Yeah, Cora will take care of it.
Just all watch and give him good thoughts.
Yeah.
Shut them down.
Vibes.
One of the interesting things about him dying 3 times is that you'll see that you can approach each combat very differently because we have procedural cover, and because you have all the locomotion changes with the jump and the boost jets.
Nice.
Using the environment to your advantage is one of the keys to actually succeeding.
And what you just saw the beast do is actually a very good example of how we use the verticality in the space, which is also brand new with the boost, because obviously if you can jump, we want to make sure that all the enemies and squad, they can jump too, and they will track you in all those spaces. So the spaces are not only more open and bigger, but you add an entire layer of verticality to them.
Yeah, it was a big challenge early on when we decided to go that way because traditionally level design and level art get away with a lot of concessions, not having to build. If you don't have jump, you don't have to build, the tops of buildings, the tops of structures, and you can lose some detail in the upper areas of the levels. When you introduce jump, it's far more important to make sure every last piece of detail is of the same quality, on the upper areas. Make sure everything's capped off because the player could theoretically get anywhere in this level. And then again, earlier, one of the things we found the level artists and designers doing was actually building huge open arenas with nothing inside to actually manipulate or jump around. So that was one of the learning lessons, that despite having jump, you can create these giant open warehouses, but it's important to still fill them up with things that don't, so it doesn't look just like a big empty warehouse, essentially.
And you'll notice also right away how we're not anymore stop and go cover-based shooter. So the way you use the cover is very different tactically, and you don't plan to move forward from cover to cover. It's actually a way more organic use of the space.
You also notice quite a difference between the combat camera and the exploration camera, and we did that specifically because a lot of times you're exploring in open spaces, and we want to sort of give you a wider field of view so you could actually take it in, but also judge how you're going to explore in an area.
For the last time, report. We just fixed those base seals. If you idiots blew them, I'll have a stint. Everything's under control. Just a simple weapon.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Stoked. This ship is property of Talonwing. Now you're property too, just like the rest. I don't let
Well, that wasn't going anywhere useful. Shoot pirates, rescue contact?
She's here. Somewhere. Think they've salvaged this thing?
They're not Ket. Sam, do you have us?
Not precisely, Pathfinder. Debris and radiation are still disrupting scans.
So where to?
Find Varand and fast. This way. Got that. Stop there. Let's go. Fight to the door they came in.
We're sure the captains are there?
Had to be somewhere. I've heard of this Kala and his wing. Supposed to be small time.
The ship says different.
Lucky find?
They're hostiles!
Oh, that's my favorite. I love that.
So you saw Ian just did a couple biotic combos there. So obviously that's still in the game.
That's fun. I bet you can jump, do a pound for melee damage. It feels so good.
One of the things you'll hear a lot too is that we've really doubled down on the squad manager, both in combat and just in the missions as well. I was telling someone earlier, we have, compared to Mass Effect 3, for those of you familiar, we had about 670 unique characters, I think, in Mass Effect 3. We've got over 1,200 in Mass Effect Andromeda. And if you look at just the line count, it's like putting Mass Effect 2 and 3 together. So we didn't just go and make, bigger worlds to explore, we filled those worlds. And the squad banter is actually some of my favorite moments in the game. And it's always fun to take different people with you, hear what they have to say.
And combinations, because they always
Thanks, Courtney.
they have clear relationships with each other. Like, for example, Cora and Drac give each other shit all the time and that sort of thing.
Door sealed. Override from the console? Come on! We have to find Varand!
We don't even know if this is the way.
Well, something has to go right. You take a risk for the right reason. It's supposed to work. Ugh.
Angsty.
You dent your locker, the principal.
It isn't a joke. I jumped us here blind. We don't know where anyone is or how anything works. And now we're fighting some asshole who wants everyone chained. It's like hitting Andromeda all over again.
Shield the bed.
Don't make this about the whole mission. We're here to help, but why am I the one defending your plan?
I don't know.
I will not be ignored anymore.
See? Total asshole.
That's it. Space them, Callum, we come. I will not be ignored.
Such an asshole. Shit!
I really hate this plan, Liam.
Right now? Me too.
Guarded!
Get on the junctions. Go.
These space sequences. Actually, I'll wait till the.
Oogie! You have timing!
We would have come in sooner, but we didn't know how we could help. Settlers aren't soldiers, but a wreck of a ship with bad shielding? We've got engineers, son. Oh, power surge. This beast does not like being prodded.
Is the artificial plan? Shit. Everything's shifting!
Liam, Pathfinder, are you okay?
So.
We're here, but things have gone a little sideways.
Get to engineering.
So those space sequences were a lot of fun to work on. Ken Thane, our cinematic director, isn't here right now, but I worked with him specifically on those exterior sequences with him and his team. And the fun thing about those was they were done like in a pre-rendered type way, a more traditional kind of cut scene type way, which allows you to have a little bit more control over the lighting, over color palettes and subtle nuances and that kind of thing. Frostbite's a very powerful engine, but it comes with a lot of technical hurdles and some limitations. But it was nice to be able to do those space scenes in a more traditional compositing way, because you get a little bit more play. You get a few more tools in your tool belt to render those guys.
So this level is a perfect example of something we couldn't have done in the trilogy without jump, without the ability to move in the vertical. There's crates and boxes everywhere for you to kind of scale over. There's different puzzles that kind of exist in this level based on your ability to jump.
Which way?
Climb up there. Turn on us a new exit.
We're getting real lucky, Liam.
It's also a good showcase of the scale of the level we're talking and the space and how far we can see and the level of details that we can put in those levels.
That little blue thing that's following Ian, that's because he has an adept profile on. If you have an infiltrator profile, that'll be kind of like the cloaking type effect. So we have little visual cues of what makes each profile special.
Good example of favorites.
Do you have favorites, Ian?
Yeah, I've actually switched over here to a Sentinel favorite. With the Sentinel, I have tech armor that'll pop up whenever I take damage, and I have a couple of different abilities mapped.
That's one of the things we've talked about is that you can actually create up to 4 different groups of favorites, and that allows you to have 3 powers and 1 profile assigned to it, and you can just switch on the fly when you're fighting. So if you want your Vanguard profile, Vanguard playstyle, or you want your infiltrator, or you just want to be a soldier, you can actually switch right on the fly. You can also just stick to one if you want it.
Open the pause
you have to
menu
build
quick,
it though over time,
Sorry?
right?
Yep.
Open the pause menu quick. Just go to the skills in the pause menu so we could show that off a little bit. So you can choose from each of those 3 trees: biotics, tech, combat. And you put points based on what power is important to you. And the number of points that you put into each of these trees will unlock different profiles. So as you can see, Ian has 4 profiles unlocked. And he can switch between those as he wants to.
It's a much more, one of the things we really wanted to embrace was a sort of sense of freedom. It was exploration, again, one of the themes of the game. We wanted you to feel like you could explore any power, any skill set, and not be restricted by a choice you'd made at the beginning of the game, but then also reward you for those choices that you make as you go, and that's where the profiles came in.
I thought this was a minor group of pirates.
A ship like this would really bring in recruits.
Idiots. Fight him forward. Report. Get framework and guard patch job.
40% functional at best. Partially stripped.
Potted out, then dumped. A junker.
It's a good example of our use of space again, outside the level. How did you guys approach, Kathleen, writing the, for a new character, for new protagonists especially, Ryders, versus writing for Shepard?
The thing about Shepard was that because Shepard evolved over 3 games, it was, by the end you could hear Jennifer Hale or Mark Meer in your head as you were writing them. And so it was a challenge to start with someone fresh and new. I mean, it's always exciting to start with a blank page, but it is a bit of a challenge as well. But because of the, some of the lighter tones we were going with in the game, we had the freedom to make them a bit more of a, of a wise ass at times, or, not just the super soldier that Shepard is.
And that actually, translates over for those of you who haven't been following. The Paragon Renegade system, we don't use that anymore. That was very much something that was felt like it was a part of Shepard. Now we do a tone system where you have 4 different types of tones. So if you don't want to be the wise ass, you can also be the professional if you want, or you can be more of the person who's leaps before they look, or vice versa, right? Somebody who's just more of a thinker. In addition to that, we've also, for decisions and consequence, we often wrap them around sort of an agree-disagree. And the reason we want to do that was actually something we looked at doing on the trilogy early on, and then we moved away from it. But I like it because, with Paragon Renegade, you kind of know once you just decide what your playthrough is going to be, well, it's up and to the right for the rest of the game. Agree-disagree changes depending on, whether you're talking... What the question is, right? And who you're talking to. And it kind of keeps you more involved in the game, and it just feels more like you're role-playing.
You guys just saw Ian shoot through some destructible pieces. We've got elements of destructible cover as well as part of the overall combat experience. It's not everywhere, you won't see it everywhere, but a lot of the cover pieces are destructible, so you can bypass cover by just kicking it open.
Space is giving them trouble. Even ground for everyone.
One of our big challenges on the art team for developing Andromeda was coming up with the different races and palettes that we use to build out those races. And a lot of work goes into building that out, not just in terms of building a character. You have to build their architectural design. You have to build their culture. What kind of customs do they abide by? So a lot of work and thought goes into exactly what that is. Even down to their alphabet. We have fonts for each one of our alien races.
And this is an interesting mismatch because this is Ket architecture. This is a Ket ship, and our outlaw faction here, the Talons, are made up of the Angara species.
Yeah. That's what I was getting to. It was an interesting challenge with Liam Loyalty trying to graft those two styles together. Because obviously when you're designing a lot of these palettes early in development, you don't know quite how they're going to be used across the whole span of the game. And when we came up with the idea for Liam Loyalty, having this kind of hybrid of the two palettes, it was a really fun challenge for the level artists to try and piece all that together and kit bash that together.
Yeah, so we're looking at the Outlaw faction, and it's actually one faction within the Outlaw palette, the enemy palette. I don't know, Fabrice, if you want to talk more about some of the other enemy palettes that we've got in the game. We've got quite a wide variety, plus wildlife now.
Yeah, I think and it's not only about the amount of palette, but the amount of roles also that we have as enemies. So each palette has specific components. Some of palette decline also into sub roles and sub specific things. But overall, we took two sides to build all that. Is the same idea of exploration. So we want to make sure that not only you can discover enemies that have specific gameplay purposes, but that it is something that you're going to learn over time and not necessarily obvious. But also they have very, very specific roles that takes into account the new layouts and the new way that the combat is. So you saw, for example, the quadruped, the Addy several times pushing Ian out of cover, the destructible cover. Some of the enemies also not only target you, but will target destructible cover when it's there to force you to move on. And some of them also occupy really the three-dimensional space, including the verticality. Some of them will ignore cover. So there's really a wide variety in each palette. And we also try to, the enemy from each palette are also consistent with their own race and how they behave, the type of action they take, and how also tactically they attack you. Overall, also because with switch to a new engine, then you have to redo the AI, for example. So the enemy AI in general is way more powerful and has to adapt to a way more dynamic environment as you saw. So.
One of the mechanics that you might have seen there too is there's a little HUD at the top and it started blinking and blinking faster and faster. Because it's a game of exploration, sometimes we don't point you right to the next objective, we actually want you to search and find it. So we actually have sort of a hot-cold mechanic for locating things that you know are in a certain radius but you're not sure are there.
Can you pull up the scanner there quick, Ian? So as part of those tools, you obviously have the scanner. We've talked about this a little bit before, but it allows you to kind of scan the environment for new and interesting things. And it also is directly built into our research and development mechanic. So if you see those three icons at the bottom, they represent different kinds of research data. One from the Milky Way, one from Helios, and one from the unknown Remnant at this point. And so you can go through the world and scan different things to kind of gather research information on the various types, and then you can use those later to craft things.
And when we talk about exploration, that's a good reminder that it's not only about the physical exploration or the exploration of territories. We're talking about cultural exploration and discovery on an element of material and cultures. And Joel talked about linguistic, the idea of the alphabet. And the scanner is one of the tools that make the bridge between the gameplay and that narrative context that you want to discover a number of things.
Still here. We'll find you a route to those captives.
It's the cargo bay.
Again? What do you mean you can't see them? Well, get ready everywhere!
Real eager to meet that person.
Pathfinder, that door up there. It was blocked before.
How about it, Bradley?
Negative. You'll have to scan for something manual.
Another good example of the wide open spaces that we're able to create. I think Frostbite does this really well. These beautiful environments.
Maybe we can reach the door.
But there's also a little bit more dynamism in some of these where we'll actually, as you can see, the level shifting, and once Ian gets up there and solves this puzzle, the level itself will change again.
Still on their cameras. Callet has filled the hall past that door.
And the captives?
Past them. Whatever it takes.
Door and crane. Here they come.
So Joel, when you guys were, planning to do something that does PBR, physically based rendering, obviously it lights beautifully. What were some of the challenges and things that you guys were looking at?
So yeah, PBR is a very interesting technology. A lot of games are physically based rendering. And we use a whole bunch of different acronyms for all of our cool features and tech. But I think it's a piece of technology that a lot of new games are going to be using and taking advantage of. But it does force the artist to think about their assets in a very different way. Traditionally, an artist would, they would build a model, and then when it goes to be textured, they paint the texture, the diffuse, essentially the color and the bumping on it and all that. They paint that all manually. But PBR forces them to think of things in a more physical, real-world kind of sense. Like, what does the value of metal look like in real life? And they have to understand how to apply that to materials in the game, metal materials in the game. And it was really, really difficult to try and train ourselves to accept the fact that when you see metal in the game, it might, you naturally think it should look black. If it was a surface that's meant to look black, using PBR, it might look gray in the game, but we have to understand that that's accurate. That's how it's meant to look under certain lighting conditions. And then once we actually introduce lighting and bake the lighting into the levels, the materials show exactly how they're meant to look in real life. It's just it was a very complicated mind shift for the artists to not want to just force that color to always look like that color that they're used to seeing. They have to kind of think a few steps down the line to how would that color look once it's finally properly lit in the game. It was a challenge, but in the end, it does provide a more realistic look.
One of the other things, every once in a while, if you see the enemies and they kind of get little shields over them, that's actually Ian's sending his squad mate to attack them. You can send them individually, left, right on the D-pad, or if you hit up, you can send them both at the same time, and they're pretty effective, as you can see.
One of the things too that you can see as Ryder is calling out in the banter, he's not as sure as Shepard was. So one of the things that we started with is Ryder is skilled but untested, yep, and grows over the course of the game. So.
Yeah, it's very much a story, and not just for Ryder, but for all the people around them. It's Shepard was very much already a hero when we met them. They kind of became a legend. This is a story of a bunch of people kind of coming together and becoming heroes, and it actually carries through. Even the our version of sort of the Citadel Council, the Nexus and Andromeda Initiative people. They're not the people who were necessarily sent to do it because things went a little poorly when they arrived, and so they're just trying to figure out how to be leaders as well. So it's kind of a theme that carries all the way through.
Getting the hang of all this, right?
Cycling power for doors ahead, but it seals the one behind you.
We're not turning back anyway.
You know we're getting real lucky.
Look, some things you just have to count on. Skill, purpose, allies. We have them all in spades.
And if it goes wrong?
It already did. Still better than day one on Helios.
They're bunkered in the next room, Pathfinder. Sniper, maybe two, and I think cages?
Thanks for the lookout.
Have to take out that sniper!
More pets, let's move! Focus on the pirates. We'll get the door.
At least one more somewhere.
Pathfinder.
That was another interesting challenge for the art team, specifically VFX. Because our combat features so many different powers and biotics, we found early on that the VFX looked like a laser light show with the amount of bullets and tracers and biotics and orbs and space magic flying past you. It really did look like a fireworks show, and so we had to find a nice, comfortable balance to not overwhelm the player or look too ADD, while still feeling kind of fresh and flashy and kind of fun and colorful. So it took a lot of iteration to try and find that nice subtle balance. How often do you use this power versus this power? Okay, so this one could be flashier and colorful. This one's used all the time, so let's tone it down and keep it a little bit more subtle. Subtle is one of my key words I use a lot on the floor.
Subtle.
Subtle.
I think we're about to get into some spoilery areas. I think we're going to call it right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant robots.
Giant robots.
Seal the bulkhead.
Robots.
Now's our chance.
All right. So everyone give Ian a round of applause.
Yes. I think there's going to be a microphone set up. I can't see it. It's out there somewhere, and I seem to recall it's only on one side. We'd love to take questions.
You died, Ian, but I think you kept your squad mates alive the whole time.
So they were carrying me. It was golden.
Yeah.
I am never playing in front of an audience again. Yeah.
Right. Don't be shy.
There's the mic. Right.
There you go. Boom. Step right up. Go. Yeah.
So I just have a simple question. Will Ryder be a better dancer than Shepard?
I don't know if...
Can he be worse?
I don't know if better, but I've seen more variety, I think. I'll tease you with that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So my favorite moment in the entire Mass Effect trilogy was curing the genophage. I'm just curious, will the reset button have been hit on that in Andromeda? Will the Krogan still have the genophage, or is that too much of a spoiler? Can you not discuss it?
That's a bit of a spoiler, but I mean, I think one of the things we can say is that it's still a factor in Andromeda, and yeah, without spoiling it, I can't get into more, but there is a resolution for the Krogan.
It's a different story.
It's a different story. Yep.
Yeah. We're not the same story.
I think that was the thing, is we wanted to be able to bring up a lot of these things that people love, but actually present them in a new and fresh way.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, I have two questions actually. Will you be able to import your kind of like story basis from your original gameplays from in the earlier Mass Effects, and after kind of the red, green, blue debacle of the ending of Mass Effect 3, are there going to be like much more like kind of end theory expansion choices where each choice you make have multiple decisions on the new Andromeda?
Right. So one of the things I think we wanted to do very clearly was to sort of start fresh with this. So we aren't looking to carry a whole lot of things forward. There are a lot of nods to the trilogy, a lot of them in the game, a lot of Easter eggs. Even one of the first options you'll see in the customization option is asking if your Shepard was male or female. So we're looking at that, but we're not bringing things forward specifically because we want people to feel like, no, this is fresh. It's fresh for everyone, whether you've played or not before.
So it'll give you your like choices like of what you made, but you can't like, there's no import ability.
That's right.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for getting that one out of the way, nice and early.
Yep.
Hi. I saw in that gameplay that in a lot of the dialogue areas there was only around like 2 choices. Will that be more common, or will we still have investigate options and more options to talk more deeply with people?
Yeah, you'll have in a mission like this, we're very focused on getting the action through, but in your quieter moments on the Tempest with your squad mates, you'll be able to investigate some of the people that you meet on the worlds that we explore. You'll be able to ask them about their lives. But in terms of our tone wheel that Mac was talking about, there's actually 4 tones, and occasionally you will get a 4-tone choice as well. But sometimes just for the sake of moving things forward, like you're not always going to be emotional about a choice, but so we choose which of the 4 tones we use.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Hi. My question, it's kind of a two-parter.
I believe it was reported that in the customization with Shepard that affects what your father looks like. My question is, does that also apply to your sibling, and what role does your sibling have in the story?
Yeah, actually, when you initially set up your character, if you customize your character, then the twin will start off being kind of ballpark looking like you, and you can change them if you want to. You can make them look wildly differently. And then when you're done, all said and done, the dad will automatically inherit off of you.
Okay, thank you.
Also, we forgive you for calling him Shepard. It's totally cool.
That's good.
Thank you.
We do it all the time, too.
Hello. So this is a question in regard in regard to the multiplayer. So in 3, I really like how the multiplayer tied into the main campaign with all the at the war table. However, I wasn't as much of a fan as that I was kind of required in order to get a good ending. Are we going to see something similar in this game?
No, we've actually changed that quite a bit. There's no narrative link, like your ending isn't impacted by multiplayer and single player. We have something new called strike teams, where you can optionally send people out on missions to get rewards for you in single player, or you can do those same missions yourself in multiplayer in order to get multiplayer rewards and single player rewards. But it's all optional. It's all a reward mechanic, not a story changer.
Thank you.
Hi. I was wondering about the writing. If you work with like creating a main script for the game and then just kind of going with it, or you have like a more iterative process where as you build the game, you start adding more lines to it that kind of fit the scenario.
Go ahead.
Both. What we'll do is we have a smaller team get together and build the framework of the story and what our key themes are, what sort of the direction that we're going, and then we'll bring on more writers, and then that's when we start to build things like the loyalty missions. We build out the character arcs, the relationship and romance arcs, but it is also very iterative. We have a process where we start on paper, we get it into the game, we iterate on that, we get it into the game, we iterate on that, we get it, we get the art in, we iterate on that. And so all along the way, people are working together as a team. Game making is a very collaborative art form, like one of the most that I've ever worked on, and it's actually really rewarding in that sense.
Yeah, and also we can say that usually people underestimate how the gameplay also influences the narrative and vice versa. So sometimes the designers will introduce mechanics that will inspire writers or vice versa because of something in the background of a character or race. A designer will trigger a mechanic idea that will go through the game. So it's not even only about the context and the characters.
Yeah, one of the abilities for the Angara actually came from gameplay, started in gameplay, and then they said, could you make this work? And we were like, yeah, I think we can make that work.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how inspiring each department feeds off of one another. Like, from the writing, the art team feeds dramatically off of the writing, and same with design. If there's a really cool design once in a while, they'll feed off of that as well. Still looking forward to that though.
Someday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, I'm EA. I know the game is very close to release, but can you guys still cut out the tutorial mission and make it a DLC? On a more serious note, I'm just interested in what's the situation with the DLCs going on, if you know anything about it.
Sorry, you're just...
One more time.
What is the general situation with DLCs?
Like in the world? Like,
no, in your game.
Sell them.
For the game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've got a pretty strong live service plan, and we'll be talking more about that in the future with multiplayer. I think the goal is to we love having a great relationship with our fans and hearing what they have to say and responding to that. And I think you can expect to see us waiting until it's in everyone's hands, see what they say, and then seeing maybe where we want to go from there.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, EA.
Come back next year.
Yeah, you're nothing like your photograph.
Hi. So my question is, when you were building the character, and because you were starting fresh, and with the abilities and everything, are we going to be seeing like enemies that they encounter? Would it be like bosses or enemies? Would the character develop some of their abilities when they defeat them, or when they destroy them? Would we see something like that, or?
Not systemically. You'll certainly see characters with, you'll see bosses, you'll fight bosses with various abilities. And you'll have some recurring bosses that you're going to run into multiple times throughout the game. But they're not like systemically changing their skills based on your skills. Or...
Oh, no, I mean like, does the player get some of their skills or like some of their
Oh, yeah, you will see like some things are uniquely on an enemy or uniquely on a squad mate or uniquely on you, but you will also see some other things that do overlap between multiple characters.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, this question is for Ian. As a lead designer, you don't seem very good at the game.
It's more of a statement, really, than a question.
It's not really a question,
but not all lead designers have producers heckling them, so it's not fair.
No, so my question is, does the combat in the game like maintain a reasonable level of difficulty for players who are actually good at it?
I think you and him got to play multiplayer, and you gotta throw him under the bus. Anyway, answer.
Yes, I think the game presents a reasonable level of difficulty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. I was wondering, are there any smaller details that are in the game that you guys really are proud of or like that you think the average gamer might not notice or that might not stand out?
I bet you there's something for everyone. What I would say is that the interesting thing with Andromeda is, I mentioned how big it was before and how much content we've got in it. I literally saw a cutscene, I don't know, it was about 2 months ago, and I had never seen it before. I didn't know it was in the game. It was wonderful, and there are a lot of those moments, both in gameplay, story, everything. And I don't know, I'd open up to you guys, but there are some. And the thing is, when you push freedom and player freedom, that means you're not being as prescriptive about how where people should go and how they should play, which means there's a lot of content that people can just kind of miss. And I think some of my favorite storylines and favorite moments, actually, we really have to kind of pursue and know how to find them, and they're very rewarding when you get there.
I think it's fun to explore each other's content. Like when I go onto the Tempest and I find like, oh my God, look, there's these ships here, these models here that I didn't know, and find stuff that Jess has kind of tucked in there.
There's a lot of neat little things hidden around.
Yeah.
I think for me, I lived on the Tempest for 3 years, and with the hubs, it's the center of where you talk to your squad. You get to know them, build your relationships with them, and for someone who this is all I did, I was still surprised listening to the conversations between your squad mates, what the things they say to each other and evolve over time. It's because it's not just your relationship as Ryder with them, it's their relationships with each other as well. And when you are on a tiny spaceship in danger, there are conversations that will happen.
Yeah.
Sexy conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hello. The question I had is, how many new races are we going to see in this game, and which races from previous games, if any, are not going to be in the game?
I'm not getting into the specifics of that right now, but I think you've seen probably most of them in various trailers and things like that. At this point, we haven't held much back at this point, so if you haven't seen it yet, it's probably not going to be there in day one, but yeah, we're not getting more into the specifics on that.
Okay, thank you.
So my question is, when you're making characters, do you decide which ones are going to be romanced? And are we going to get somebody to replace everybody's favorite calibrating alien heartthrob Garrus?
You can't replace Garrus.
No.
No.
I mean, we can try.
Yeah.
The relationships between Ryder and the squad mates evolve as we go through the iterative process. So it's not like we decide based on some formula that we have in a box. And especially in creating a character like Garrus, who evolved over 3 games. I mean, that was the challenge actually sort of the, I don't know, burden is too harsh a word, but I think you know what I'm getting at when I say that some of these beloved characters like Garrus and Tally have evolved over 3 games. And so for us to create that kind of depth and relationship between Ryder and them, because they've all just met as well, most of them, and between ourselves and them, or pardon me, the players and those characters is it's hard to do. So you know, we've tried to create deep, soulful characters. You know, an asshole here and there, but you know, nobody's going to be Garrus, really.
I think one of the things we try to stay true to when the characters, especially the major characters, are being developed, is to not let them, certainly for something like a romance, not let that be slave to gameplay. It's like, well, what is that character? What would that character be, right? And want the character to be true to themselves before we go and try to, you know, balance it out evenly throughout. It's like, make sure everyone's got this romance or that romance. I mean, we do that check at some point, and we, you know, I'd rather, you know, we add new characters to solve that. But we want, for me, it's more important the characters are just believable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Ian. Don't listen to that guy. You did great. All right.
Thank you.
I have a very simple question. I'm just wondering if there's going to be like a stat tracking system for like weapons and things like that for the campaign, as opposed to the multiplayer. The original trilogies, they didn't have that, and I'm just wondering if that is a plan for this game.
Sorry, I think I missed bits of that. The
stats tracking system.
Stats tracking.
Oh, stats tracking. Yes, we do. We did actually add stats tracking for single player, not just multiplayer. So you can check, you know, how many places you've explored and certain things acquired and headshots you've accomplished and all that.
All right, great. Thanks for an awesome original trilogy, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Without too many spoilers, what was some of your all's favorite things to work on within the game?
That's a good question.
It's been 5 years. It evolves over the years. But I think the favorite one is probably too broad, but definitely for me, this two component at the beginning, a while ago now, years ago, I think when we firmly decided to bring back the Mako, who became the Nomad. I think we had a lot of fun in those early days, and it was actually when we were still, you know, switching engine and all that. It's one of the first major gameplay feature that came together, and we actually had a huge lot of fun very early on to just drive it around, and so that was great. And after, I would say, over the years, clearly all the challenge around the new combat system for me, because I was heavily involved in that, was both, you know, frustrating and satisfying, but that's good memories overall.
I think similarly, when Jump came online, that was something that was really compelling for us, both because it was new and because we found all sorts of applications for it that we didn't really expect initially.
I liked getting to know Joel over the last couple of years. Joel's one of my favorite characters of all the Mass Effect games, and so seeing him being brought to life actually by Kathleen throughout the last number of years was really satisfying to see him, you know, become more and more a part of the beloved squad that I was used to.
Yeah, I'll double down on that as well, even from a visual standpoint. He was one of our earlier party members we started to design visually, and he went through that race, that Angara race in general, went through some interesting iterations that might not be in the art book at some point.
No, cut all that stuff.
Very interesting iterations.
It's all censored, yeah. But
there were emails.
But Joel turned out fantastic. Like, and Kathleen's writing and the voice, it all came together in such a nice little package. Yeah, Joel was fantastic.
But I think that, like, even taking that further, like the most fun has been actually exploring Andromeda and bringing it to this new place and finding these, you know, being able to see these planets and like zooming in on the debris and just creating, I mean, not just the Angara, but the other species that we have, like building those, like it put us in I wasn't on ME1, but it put me particularly in the position of being the writers on ME1 and being able to start from that place was really rewarding.
Yeah, I think I'd double down on the planets, but actually just more the whole world design. As you saw with Liam today, you know, that is more like our very character-focused, cinematic, story-focused, sort of linear mission, one and done. And there's a lot of high fidelity in there. Everything from the scenery to the boss battles, everything in it is extremely handcrafted. Versus then we have our open worlds where we still want it to be handcrafted and lush, but obviously you have different gameplay expectations, different player expectations, and you want to find a way to have that sense of freedom as a player to feel like you can really explore anywhere. But you're still, these guys are still working with the same tool set, and so trying to find a way to build a game in a way that you can have those beautiful crafted linear moments and the wide open spaces, and then bring it all together so it all feels like one world that you're exploring, or one galaxy that you're exploring. I think it was obviously a challenge, but also I think one of the most fruitful things out of it all, because I think the team did an amazing job with that.
And I think for me, previously, I was a big fan of the trilogy. This is my first game at BioWare, Mass Effect. The characters always meant so much. So being part of the Tempest, watching the relationships with these characters, from writing to text to speech, when they might have a cowboy accent, and you're like, I don't know how this is going to work. And then you get the VO, and then the scenes come in. Seeing this iteration over the course of the 3-4 years of doing this, it's amazing to the fact where someone who has seen every romance scene more than any one person ever should have, I still don't know who I'm going to romance. There's a lot of magic happening here. Sexy space magic.
It's the best kind.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Thank you.
So that's all the time I think we have for questions. But before we get out of here, Mike, I think you have something to say.
Yeah, sorry. So the guy who got cut off and didn't get to ask his question, unfortunately, there's a prize for getting cut off. So if you come up. Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man.
I want to get cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for the rest of you guys who got cut off. And so I think we're going to close on the trailer that was released this morning. Hopefully you haven't seen it, but...
We dream of exploring the unknown, discovering what lies beyond.
The entire initiative is at risk. None of the golden worlds panned out. They're a bust. We need to find more resources, but that takes people, and we can't wake them up. Now more than ever, we need a Pathfinder.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, and I can see through this and see what's behind. Got to prove it, so maybe I'm lying.
No way this is home.
That's why I'm here, exploring the unknown.
Who are these guys?
Visitors just like us.
Get her on the shuttle now!
Nice work, kid.
I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Blame on me.
Now you are a part of the first wave of arcs arriving in Andromeda, our new home for humanity.
Thanks, everyone.
See you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much, everyone.
We dream of exploring the unknown, discovering what lies beyond.
The entire initiative is at risk. None of the golden worlds panned out. They're a bust. We need to find more resources, but that takes people, and we can't wake them up. Now more than ever, we need a Pathfinder.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, and I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying.
No way this is home.
exploring the unknown.
Who are these guys?
Visitors just like us.
Get her on the shuttle now!
Nice work, kid.
I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. Brilliant is mine. He has access!
No more mercy. Kill them all.
I'm only human. I'm only human. All you think is put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me.
Now you are a part of the first wave of arcs arriving in Andromeda, our new home for humanity.
We slept for hundreds of years, dreaming of a new home. But when we finally awoke, our dreams of peace were shattered.
Welcome back.
You're the new Pathfinder.
This is incredible.
It's acting like a gravity well.
I have a bad feeling.
We're the aliens.
My God.
Welcome back to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In our first installments, we took a closer look at combat gameplay. Today, we're diving straight into the heart of Mass Effect Andromeda, exploration. In addition to beautiful story missions, Andromeda is filled with worlds to explore.
No way this is home.
Our story is contained within the Helios cluster, a portion of space populated with dozens of star systems. And the Tempest is where that exploration begins. You can navigate star systems using the Tempest galaxy map. From planets to moons, to anomalies and starships, wherever you are in Helios, you'll now be able to see everything that exists outside the ship's main windows in real time. In Andromeda, there are over 100 planets to discover, and a handful of beautifully crafted worlds can be landed on. And that's where the adventure really begins. Each world you visit has its own story, its own characters, and of course, its own challenges. Today, the world we're going to visit is called Eladin. Exploring the opening landing area called Paradise, you'll quickly discover that the heat on this planet can be deadly. Water is scarce, and mysterious ancient artifacts dot the landscape guarded by dangerous remnant creatures. Basically, to live here, you have to be desperate, or Krogan. But even the Krogan aren't happy, and they don't trust anyone from the Initiative, least of all a Pathfinder. How you deal with the Krogan and these challenges will ultimately determine your success on Eladin.
We need the Krogan, and the Krogan need us.
Before you set out, you'll get an update from your AI, pointing out key locations.
The Remnant monolith suggests this was indeed supposed to be a golden world.
We're going to start the adventure by heading over to the Krogan colony, but the choice of where to go is ultimately yours. Our all-terrain rover, the Nomad, is key to quickly covering the expansive landscapes throughout Andromeda. You can also enhance the Nomad with a series of functional upgrades designed to give you better turbo boost, higher jumps, better handling, and more. While you're exploring, one of the key objectives will be to discover locations to call down forward stations. Once found, each of these will act as a fast travel point and allow you to change your loadout or call the Nomad if it gets lost or destroyed. They also offer resupply and protection from any environmental hazards. Our conversations at the Krogan colony point us in a few directions. Exiles are causing trouble at their base, the Flophouse, and a derelict remnant ship may have a drive core the Krogan are in desperate need of. Let's head to that ship and see what we can find. Out here, we are more exposed to the heat. In Andromeda, all of the planets have localized and/or global hazards. The Pathfinder and the Nomad are both separately outfitted with life support systems that help protect against these hazards. But once you run out, you'll need to find a safe location or a forward station to recharge.
I'm reading normal temperature range, Pathfinder.
As you travel throughout the world, you'll find new areas to explore, new characters, and new storylines. Ultimately, all of these discoveries will help raise the viability of the planet. Increasing planet viability does two things: allow for the creation of an outpost and upgrade the Nexus, the Andromeda Initiative's space station. Before a planet can support an outpost, you'll first need to get its viability to at least 40% by pacifying threats, allying yourself to locals, solving environmental problems, and accomplishing specific tasks related to that planet's story. For example, in the case of Eladin, your relationship with the Krogan will determine whether you can build here or not. Regardless of whether you build an outpost, your exploration and discoveries will also give you Andromeda viability points. Reaching thresholds will allow you to upgrade the Nexus and wake up more colonists from cryosleep. Who you decide to wake up will determine what perks and advantages you'll get. Will you wake up scientists to give you an edge in research and development? Military personnel to give you an edge in combat? Or merchants to give you a leg up when trading? But of course, not everything on these worlds will be so straightforward. Andromeda holds many mysteries, not the least of which is a vast network of ancient vaults. Simply figuring out how to access one of these vaults is a challenge in and of itself that can take you across an entire world. Once inside, you'll need to rely on skills from every element of Andromeda gameplay, including exploration, environmental navigation, puzzle solving, and combat to get them back online, and then make it out alive. Go! And resolving the mystery of these vaults may just hold the key to survival in Andromeda.
This is unbelievable.
At its heart, Mass Effect Andromeda is a game of discovery and exploration. The choices you make and the places you go let you blaze your own unique trail through Andromeda. Whether you're exploring the depths of a crashed starship or delving into the core of an active volcano, the more you engage with the world around you and the characters in it, the more that world will surprise you with what's waiting just around the corner.
It's really going to be something, isn't it?
Welcome back to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In this video, we will take a look at profiles, favorites, and your squad. As you level up in Mass Effect Andromeda, you'll gain access to dozens of skills and over 300 skill upgrades. You're free to pick any skill without being limited to a class, which allows you to create a Pathfinder that is totally suited to how you want to play. As we discovered last time, there are three main types of skills in the game: combat, tech, and biotics. As you unlock skills over the course of the game, you'll also start gaining access to profiles. There are 7 types. Let's take a look at 2 of them, the Adept and the Explorer. The Adept profile is perfect for players who want to specialize in biotics. As you choose more biotic skills, the Adept profile will give you bonuses to suit your playstyle. And as you can see, choosing Adept gives bonuses to duration and damage of your biotics. The more you invest in those skills, the higher level profiles you can unlock. Or maybe you want to be more versatile, choosing some combat mixed with biotic and tech skills. This will unlock the Explorer profile, giving you perks and buffs that enhance all your abilities. And of course, you can swap these profiles at any time, allowing you to keep the action fresh, giving you a number of ways to tackle every battle, and making sure you never feel locked into a particular style of play. This brings us to favorites. Favorites are a quick way to map 3 skills and a single profile to one slot. Anytime during combat, you can switch between one of these 4 slots, giving you access to up to 12 of your favorite skills during the course of a single fight. Here's an example. In this battle, I've equipped a favorites loadout designed for long-range combat, utilizing cloak and a sniper rifle to suppress oncoming enemies. The sniper alone isn't enough, so I'll deploy an assault turret and toss some grenades before switching to my second favorites loadout. It's designed for close quarters combat. Loading these new abilities puts them in a cooldown by default, so I'll have to make do with my shotgun until they're ready. The Fiend is too powerful and I'm not in any position to take it out immediately, but my new favorites are ready. I'll make my getaway using Biotic Charge and then maneuver around this group of enemies. This favorite's loadout is particularly combo friendly, so I'll engage by comboing Cryo Beam and Lance for an explosive result, then clean up with my shotgun. It looks like the Fiend has taken an interest. I'll do what I can from a distance before switching to my third favorite's loadout. One that emphasizes ranged biotic abilities such as Backlash and Shockwave, as well as Flamethrower. Let's see if we can find a better vantage point and stall the Fiend's approach. Using Backlash, I can shield myself from oncoming fire and deflect it back at the enemy. This is particularly useful against large crowds of enemies. However, this horde is scattered, so I'll need to regroup. Looks like the Fiend has other plans. I'll stand my ground by using Shockwave and then follow that up with Flamethrower. The Fiend is hurt, but it's going to take more than that to defeat it. Switching to my final favorites loadout, I'll engage the Fiend with soldier-focused abilities. Let's finish it off with Flat Cannon and Trip Mines. And when it comes to combat, don't forget your squad. Each of your 6 squad mates has 3 active and 2 passive skills. In this case, Cora uses her biotics as a support character, and Drac is a bruiser who can soak up lots of damage. Not only can you set your squad up around the battlefield, ordering them to defend locations, attack targets, or rally to your side, but you can also team up with them for devastating power combos. Power combos activate when you or one of your squad mates primes an enemy or groups of enemies, setting them up for the kill. Then you or a squad mate jumps in to detonate and finish the job. And you can always level up your squad mates to make them specifically good at priming or detonating targets. Subscribe to see the next installment in the gameplay series for a look at exploration in Mass Effect Andromeda. Welcome to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In Mass Effect Andromeda, you are the Pathfinder, the ultimate adventurer in a vast, unexplored galaxy on a mission to find a new home for humanity.
Can you make it somewhere tropical? Nice, warm ocean, summer year-round?
Our first video will take a look at weapons and skills. Andromeda's action is built around fluid, fast-paced, third-person combat. Our combat offers amazing freedom of movement with the use of a jump jet that allows you to jump, evade, and even hover while you're fighting. You'll also notice a new dynamic cover system that allows you to seamlessly use almost anything, including your own vehicle, for cover. All this freedom allows you to approach the battle in a way that suits your gameplay style. Let's take a closer look at our weapons. In Mass Effect Andromeda, there are 4 categories of guns: pistols, shotguns, and sniper and assault rifles, plus a range of melee weapons for up-close combat. All guns are available to every player. There are no class restrictions, so if you decide you want to try something new, it's as easy as switching your loadout. Guns and gear in Andromeda fall into 3 technology types based on where the tech comes from. Milky Way weapons typically use physical projectile ammunition that's similar to the types of weapons you might be familiar with from our original games, with some advancements, of course. These are high-impact projectile-based guns. They're great against most non-shielded targets, but require you to keep an eye on your ammo. Remnant weapons typically use beams, have a high rate of fire, and are extremely accurate. They use the overheat system and don't rely on ammo, so you'll never run out of ammo, but you'll have to wait for your gun to cool down from time to time. Helios weapons are technology from civilizations that live in the Helios cluster of Andromeda. They are generally plasma-based, which means they are slower speed, but benefit from heat-seeking technology. While some are charge-based, the longer you charge them before releasing, the harder they hit. Melee weapons vary in both damage and speed. Hard-hitting hammers do maximum damage, while lightning-fast shivs or swords allow you to get in and out of harm's way with maximum speed and precision. In addition to weapons, you can also develop skills and abilities. Like the weapons, there are no restrictions on what skills you can choose, and each of the 3 main categories is designed to facilitate a certain style of play. Combat skills are great if you want to focus on weapons, gear, and making your character the ultimate soldier. These skills focus on improving weapon damage and accuracy, as well as giving you the ability to use flat cannons, grenades, trip mines, and more. Tech skills allow you to equip your Pathfinder with more experimental weaponry, or focus on strategic improvements for you and your squad. Cryo Beam and Flamethrower give you more offensive punch, while skills like Invasion or Energy Drain weaken your opponents and make them easier to take down. Want a little extra help? Deploy your own assault turret. Last but not least, biotics. By controlling dark energy, your Pathfinder can harness the power of mass and gravity. Biotic skills like pull and throw allow you to literally control the battlefield, using your enemies as a shield or even a weapon. Abilities like Annihilation Shield or Singularity can disrupt and damage anything or anyone caught up in their powerful grip. Each skill can be upgraded to become increasingly more devastating and effective. Each also has choices to make when upgrading, offering you more ways to customize your playstyle. Now that we have the basics down, let's put this into action. In this case, our Pathfinder is equipped with a sniper rifle and a shotgun, and they've got their 3 powers selected. You'll notice that different enemies each behave in unique ways. Some will keep their distance and try to snipe us. Others will charge right in and try to flush us out of cover. Sticky Grenades is an advanced version of the Omni Grenade combat skill. They're effective against just about anything, but they have a limited supply. Enemies each have different strengths and weaknesses. For most, headshots inflict maximum damage, but you'll need to pay attention to their health bars. Yellow means they've got armor and won't be as susceptible to certain weapons and powers. Blue means they're shielded, and in addition to being more resistant to biotics, you'll generally need to deal with those shields before their health goes down. And just like you, their shields will recharge if you don't finish them off quickly. Tactical Cloak is a tech skill that allows you to evade enemy detection and inflict increased damage when attacking from cloak. And finally, Overload. Another tech skill that's great for taking out enemy shields and synthetic enemies. By holding it before releasing, you can even chain it to multiple enemies. And this is just one of the hundreds of combinations of weapons and skills you can try in Andromeda. Stay tuned for future installments where we'll show you our profiles to give you an added boost in combat, favorites which allow you immediate access to your sets of powers so you can change up on the fly, and squad skills and commands.
Take cover! Take cover!
Peggy 16.
Okay.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Natalie Dormer plays Lexi Tapero, who is the doctor on board the Tempest.
She's an Asari. Scott Ryder, the Pathfinder wants you all on your feet right away. And she's got some experience and wisdom under her belt. And in that way, she's able to advise the player. She isn't without emotion or compassion, so she sort of tries to walk the line of just the professional doctor, but sometimes she tips over it.
It's a seizure. Her brain can't handle the connection.
She's got some great wry lines, some dry humor in there. It just means you're still shaking off your nap.
Sorry, that's the last book in the series. The author died before it was finished.
It's so huge, and the production value on this series is just extraordinary. Every single discipline within the project is at its top level, from the design to hopefully the acting involved to just every single level of production. It's people at the top of their game. I had a bit of a moment earlier when Gethin Anthony's voice came in over across my cans. He's doing the voice of Gil in Andromeda. It's kind of a weird one hearing Renly Baratheon and Marjorie Terrell in different guises. Ta-da!
Sam relayed to the Tempest that we're stranded but alive. No choice but to investigate PB's signal.
Pathfinder, this console controls the gate.
Anyone order a friendly observer?
Nobody knows for certain what awaits us in Andromeda. Though our long-range scans have provided a map, there are no guarantees on a voyage that will take us 2.5 million light-years away from home. That's where the Pathfinder team comes in. My name is Cora Harper, second in command on the human Pathfinder team. It's our job to find and secure potential golden worlds, identify settlement sites, and start the process of building our new home. We act under our own authority and represent the tip of the spear in Andromeda. Every arc has its own team, and every team has its own Pathfinder, senior mission officers, experts in survival, diplomacy, and if that fails, combat. Our Pathfinder on Arc Hyperion is Alec Ryder, whose pioneering service history speaks for itself. A skilled soldier with N7 ranking and a talented scientist, Ryder was a member of the original task force who traveled through the Charon Mass Relay and took humanity's first steps across the galaxy. Now, he's preparing us to tackle the next great frontier, Andromeda. Liam specializes in crisis response. Every team needs its idealist, and Liam is ours. Sarah and Scott Ryder are Pathfinder's son and daughter, and former Alliance recruits fresh off tours with the Arcturus Station Outpost and Prothean Artifacts team, respectively. And myself, Lieutenant Cora Harper. To be brief, I'm a biotic, the team's operations specialist in charge of ground missions, and I spent the last 4 years serving alongside Asari commandos. And finally, our last team member, Sam. Short for Simulated Adaptive Matrix, Sam is an artificial intelligence designed by our Pathfinder himself. From his node in the Ark, Sam receives a direct feed of the Pathfinder's sensory input via a neural implant. It sees and feels as Ryder does, providing him advanced situational awareness, problem solving, and even tactical enhancements. All members of the Pathfinder team receive implants, allowing them to communicate directly with Sam. The individuals who make up this team are everything the Andromeda Initiative represents. A chance for the bravest and the brightest to come together for something bigger than ourselves. If you have what it takes to join us, we'll make sure there's a bunk on the Tempest with your name on it.
Is that our golden world?
That's Habitat 7. New Earth, if we're lucky. We're marooned, 20,000 souls adrift at sea. And when the power runs out, and stays out, we need to know if that's safe harbor.
Shuttle 2, taking your lead.
Good luck, Pathfinder team.
All stop, now!
Oh my god.
Get us out of here.
They've got us pinned against the skirt.
Surrender or burn.
Please, you're not really going out there on your own.
We're explorers. Not an army. Sure, we've been outplayed. The Archon is a master of his game. We're about to change the rules.
He's a human from another galaxy. A Pathfinder.
I don't need an army. I've got a Krogan.
Go right, it'll be fun.
This is exactly why we came.
Cover's blown, run!
They want to fight? We'll give it to them!
Breaking! Keep it up!
Been waiting 600 years for this.
Great stories are timeless and they'll last forever. So at BioWare, we try to make that the heart of what we're doing.
You know, you really bond with these characters, you remember them, you remember the story long after you've played it.
This isn't just a story that I want to tell, it's a story that is to be discovered. It's interactive narrative.
As we start designing the next Mass Effect game, we start by asking fans what they want, you know, what Mass Effect means to them. One of the things that fans have told us most about what they want in the next Mass Effect game is to go somewhere new and to move forward.
New places, new characters, new people to fall in love with.
We're taking you to a whole new region of space.
This world is so vast that you can just kind of continue on to the horizon. There's more and more experience for the player to enjoy.
Pick a planet across the other side of the galaxy and fly there and see what you'll discover.
Imagine what we can do now with the power of new consoles and amazing software.
It all looks fantastic.
We've never seen these characters this real before. We think fans of the series are going to be surprised at just how far we're going. While the Montreal studio is working on the next Mass Effect game, our team here in Edmonton is developing a completely new IP.
It's a chance to have a clean sheet design and start from the most fundamental principles you can have.
We want to take on very contemporary stories, and yet we want to build a world that is as big and as imaginative as everything we've done before.
It starts off with baby steps. What are the environments? What are cities like? What are characters like?
So we're trying to build a fictional world that feels real and is alive and is constantly changing.
This is what the world is doing right now. Come and play.
At BioWare, we're building worlds and journeys for the next generation.
How far can we go with these new games? Wait and see.
Mass Effect Andromeda is the next generation of action RPG.
Yeah. No way this is home.
Brand new epic sci-fi adventure set in a vast explorable galaxy. You are the Pathfinder, part explorer, part soldier, part guide. And it's your mission to find a new home for humanity. But in Andromeda, resources are scarce, worlds are hazardous or outright uninhabitable. Every planet has its own story. On this one, warring outlaw factions fight over every available scrap. You can make new allies or enemies. The choice is yours.
Not too shabby for folk who got kicked off the station with nothing to show for it.
All I see is the trail of bodies they left behind. Sam, tell me about Sloane Kelly.
Before joining the initiative as head of Nexus Security, Miss Kelly served in the Alliance with a nearly spotless record.
Nearly?
She was involved in multiple altercations with other officers.
A hothead. Great.
What brings a Pathfinder to our humble port?
Venturev. Name ring any bells?
What's he to you? And don't lie to me.
Just point me to where you're holding him and there won't be any trouble.
There won't be.
Drop it! Now! You first.
Get out, or I'll put you down.
These worlds are big, so for the sake of time, we're going to speed up our adventure. There are many paths to follow on this planet, and you'll need everything at your disposal to survive. Whether it's a 6-wheel drive Nomad, which protects you from hazards and enemies, or the scanning and analysis tools to help you interpret everything you discover.
Look for anything that might lead us to the killer.
The tracks make it look like an ambush.
Fits the Rokar profile. It's a start.
Angaran blood. Matches your Rokar theory, Reyes.
Keep scanning. We need hard evidence.
In a dangerous alien galaxy desperate for resources, conflict is inevitable. But you'll have access to futuristic weapons, gear, and powers to help you in your fight for a new home. Though you start out with the ship and the Nomad, almost everything else you need, you'll have to find, steal, or craft yourself. And that's critical to your survival. These worlds have many dangers, from environmental hazards to hostile wildlife. A new galaxy awaits. How far will you go?
This path began a long time ago. A course paved through human history that took us across continents, oceans, and ultimately to the stars. For us, this planet is home. It's protected us, challenged us, and provided us the foundation to become galactic citizens. But the time has come to prepare ourselves for a future beyond the Milky Way. A future that begins 600 years from where we stand, in a time and place among unknown stars and unseen dangers. And so we issue this call to the brave, the inquisitive, to the trailblazers of the human race, as an invitation to stand on the shoulders of those who came before and challenge yourself to go further. Begin your journey. Join the Andromeda Initiative today. We slept for hundreds of years, dreaming of a new home. But when we finally awoke, our dreams of peace were shattered.
You're the new Pathfinder.
This is incredible.
It's acting like a gravity well.
I have a bad feeling.
We're the aliens.
My God.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Flynn, General Manager here at BioWare. I'm excited to show you a glimpse of how Mass Effect Andromeda is taking the power of Frostbite to new heights on the Sony PlayStation Neo platform. Before we get started, if you're not watching this in a 4K screen, find one and come back. Our game is going to look fantastic on whatever platform you choose to play on, but this video is meant to be experienced in 4K. 4K allows the game to take on new levels of depth, making Mass Effect more immersive than ever.
No sunlight, no water. They should all be dead.
What you're seeing here is a very small slice of the game in development. Everything here is in-game, captured directly from a PlayStation Neo during pre-alpha. We selected this segment specifically to showcase some of the ways that Neo will bring our environments and characters to life like never before.
More Remnant.
Remember, they don't turn nasty unless you get too close.
Beyond higher resolutions, we will offer high dynamic range lighting on supported platforms. That means every detail will come to life with a sense of depth, richness, and realism that simply hasn't been possible in the past.
Will you look at that?
Wow, I really was just scratching the surface.
Feel that? This whole platform's resonating. Something. Must be close. No question. This is the heart of the vault.
We leave you now with a cutscene where you can really see our characters up close. Be sure to tune in on November 7th, when we'll premiere our brand new trailer and officially open the doors to the next chapter of the Mass Effect universe.
Is that the Helios cluster?
Yeah, there we are. All these points could be vaults on other worlds. Dormant like this one.
Hey, look there. The whole place is lighting up. Power readings are off the chart.
Really off the chart.
But if it's back online, we should be good.
Go!
Ghost riders in the sky.
Our survival as a species has always depended on our drive to seek out the undiscovered, push beyond our limits, and expand the boundaries of our known world. With Mass Effect, we are going further than ever before. To Andromeda, to build a new home for humanity. Imagine distant star systems with remote and hostile planets, teeming with alien life and civilizations. Worlds where adventure, danger, and the unknown are waiting to be discovered. We've created a universe that you will lose yourself in, a whole new galaxy for you to explore. Welcome back to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In this video, we will take a look at profiles, favorites, and your squad. As you level up in Mass Effect Andromeda, you'll gain access to dozens of skills and over 300 skill upgrades. You're free to pick any skill without being limited to a class, which allows you to create a Pathfinder that is totally suited to how you want to play. As we discovered last time, there are three main types of skills in the game: combat, tech, and biotics. As you unlock skills over the course of the game, you'll also start gaining access to profiles. There are 7 types. Let's take a look at 2 of them, the Adept and the Explorer. The Adept profile is perfect for players who want to specialize in biotics. As you choose more biotic skills, the Adept profile will give you bonuses to suit your playstyle. And as you can see, choosing Adept gives bonuses to duration and damage of your biotics. The more you invest in those skills, the higher level profiles you can unlock. Or maybe you want to be more versatile, choosing some combat mixed with biotic and tech skills. This will unlock the Explorer profile, giving you perks and buffs that enhance all your abilities. And of course, you can swap these profiles at any time, allowing you to keep the action fresh, giving you a number of ways to tackle every battle, and making sure you never feel locked into a particular style of play. This brings us to favorites. Favorites are a quick way to map 3 skills and a single profile to one slot. Anytime during combat, you can switch between one of these 4 slots, giving you access to up to 12 of your favorite skills during the course of a single fight. Here's an example. In this battle, I've equipped a favorites loadout designed for long-range combat, utilizing cloak and a sniper rifle to suppress oncoming enemies. The sniper alone isn't enough, so I'll deploy an assault turret and toss some grenades before switching to my second favorites loadout. It's designed for close quarters combat. Loading these new abilities puts them in a cooldown by default, so I'll have to make do with my shotgun until they're ready. The Fiend is too powerful and I'm not in any position to take it out immediately, but my new favorites are ready. I'll make my getaway using Biotic Charge and then maneuver around this group of enemies. This favorite's loadout is particularly combo friendly, so I'll engage by comboing Cryo Beam and Lance for an explosive result, then clean up with my shotgun. It looks like the Fiend has taken an interest. I'll do what I can from a distance before switching to my third favorite's loadout. One that emphasizes ranged biotic abilities such as Backlash and Shockwave, as well as Flamethrower. Let's see if we can find a better vantage point and stall the Fiend's approach. Using Backlash, I can shield myself from oncoming fire and deflect it back at the enemy. This is particularly useful against large crowds of enemies. However, this horde is scattered, so I'll need to regroup. Looks like the Fiend has other plans. I'll stand my ground by using Shockwave and then follow that up with Flamethrower. The Fiend is hurt, but it's going to take more than that to defeat it. Switching to my final favorite's loadout, I'll engage the Fiend with soldier-focused abilities. Let's finish it off with Flak Cannon and Trip Mines. And when it comes to combat, don't forget your squad. Each of your 6 squad mates has 3 active and 2 passive skills. In this case, Cora uses her biotics as a support character, and Drac is a bruiser who can soak up lots of damage. Not only can you set your squad up around the battlefield, ordering them to defend locations, attack targets, or rally to your side, but you can also team up with them for devastating power combos. Power combos activate when you or one of your squad mates primes an enemy or groups of enemies, setting them up for the kill. Then you or a squad mate jumps in to detonate and finish the job. And you can always level up your squad mates to make them specifically good at priming or detonating targets. Subscribe to see the next installment in the gameplay series for a look at exploration in Mass Effect Andromeda.
This is Commander Shepard, signing off.
Sam, relay to the Tempest that we're stranded but alive. No choice but to investigate PB's signal.
Pathfinder, this console controls the gate.
Welcome back to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In our first installments, we took a closer look at combat gameplay. Today, we're diving straight into the heart of Mass Effect Andromeda, exploration. In addition to beautiful story missions, Andromeda is filled with worlds to explore.
No way this is home.
Our story is contained within the Helios cluster, a portion of space populated with dozens of star systems. And the Tempest is where that exploration begins. You can navigate star systems using the Tempest galaxy map. From planets to moons, to anomalies and starships, wherever you are in Helios, you'll now be able to see everything that exists outside the ship's main windows in real time. In Andromeda, there are over 100 planets to discover, and a handful of beautifully crafted worlds can be landed on. And that's where the adventure really begins. Each world you visit has its own story, its own characters, and of course, its own challenges. Today, the world we're going to visit is called Eladin. Exploring the opening landing area called Paradise, you'll quickly discover that the heat on this planet can be deadly. Water is scarce, and mysterious ancient artifacts dot the landscape guarded by dangerous remnant creatures. Basically, to live here, you have to be desperate, or Krogan. But even the Krogan aren't happy, and they don't trust anyone from the Initiative, least of all a Pathfinder. How you deal with the Krogan and these challenges will ultimately determine your success on Eladin.
We need the Krogan, and the Krogan need us.
Before you set out, you'll get an update from your AI, pointing out key locations.
The Remnant monolith suggests this was indeed supposed to be a golden world.
We're going to start the adventure by heading over to the Krogan colony, but the choice of where to go is ultimately yours. Our all-terrain rover, the Nomad, is key to quickly covering the expansive landscapes throughout Andromeda. You can also enhance the Nomad with a series of functional upgrades designed to give you better turbo boost, higher jumps, better handling, and more. While you're exploring, one of the key objectives will be to discover locations to call down forward stations. Once found, each of these will act as a fast travel point and allow you to change your loadout or call the Nomad if it gets lost or destroyed. They also offer resupply and protection from any environmental hazards. Our conversations at the Krogan colony point us in a few directions. Exiles are causing trouble at their base, the Flophouse. And a derelict remnant ship may have a drive core the Krogan are in desperate need of. Let's head to that ship and see what we can find. Out here, we are more exposed to the heat. In Andromeda, all of the planets have localized and/or global hazards. The Pathfinder and the Nomad are both separately outfitted with life support systems that help protect against these hazards. But once you run out, you'll need to find a safe location or a forward station to recharge.
I'm reading a normal temperature range, Pathfinder.
As you travel throughout the world, you'll find new areas to explore, new characters, and new storylines. Ultimately, all of these discoveries will help raise the viability of the planet. Increasing planet viability does two things: allow for the creation of an outpost, and upgrade the Nexus, the Andromeda Initiative's space station. Before a planet can support an outpost, you'll first need to get its viability to at least 40% by pacifying threats, allying yourself to locals, solving environmental problems, and accomplishing specific tasks related to that planet's story. For example, in the case of Eladin, your relationship with the Krogan will determine whether you can build here or not. Regardless of whether you build an outpost, your exploration and discoveries will also give you Andromeda viability points. Reaching thresholds will allow you to upgrade the Nexus and wake up more colonists from cryosleep. Who you decide to wake up will determine what perks and advantages you'll get. Will you wake up scientists to give you an edge in research and development? Military personnel to give you an edge in combat? Or merchants to give you a leg up when trading? But of course, not everything on these worlds will be so straightforward. Andromeda holds many mysteries, not the least of which is a vast network of ancient vaults. Simply figuring out how to access one of these vaults is a challenge in and of itself that can take you across an entire world. Once inside, you'll need to rely on skills from every element of Andromeda gameplay, including exploration, environmental navigation, puzzle solving, and combat to get them back online, and then make it out alive. And resolving the mystery of these vaults may just hold the key to survival in Andromeda.
This is unbelievable.
At its heart, Mass Effect Andromeda is a game of discovery and exploration. The choices you make and the places you go let you blaze your own unique trail through Andromeda. Whether you're exploring the depths of a crashed starship or delving into the core of an active volcano, the more you engage with the world around you and the characters in it, the more that world will surprise you with what's waiting just around the corner.
It's really gonna be something, isn't it?
Welcome back to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In this video, we will take a look at profiles, favorites, and your squad. As you level up in Mass Effect Andromeda, you'll gain access to dozens of skills and over 300 skill upgrades. You're free to pick any skill without being limited to a class, which allows you to create a Pathfinder that is totally suited to how you want to play. As we discovered last time, there are three main types of skills in the game: combat, tech, and biotics. As you unlock skills over the course of the game, you'll also start gaining access to profiles. There are 7 types. Let's take a look at 2 of them, the Adept and the Explorer. The Adept profile is perfect for players who want to specialize in biotics. As you choose more biotic skills, the Adept profile will give you bonuses to suit your playstyle. And as you can see, choosing Adept gives bonuses to duration and damage of your biotics. The more you invest in those skills, the higher level profiles you can unlock. Or maybe you want to be more versatile, choosing some combat mixed with biotic and tech skills. This will unlock the Explorer profile, giving you perks and buffs that enhance all your abilities. And of course, you can swap these profiles at any time, allowing you to keep the action fresh, giving you a number of ways to tackle every battle, and making sure you never feel locked into a particular style of play. This brings us to favorites. Favorites are a quick way to map 3 skills and a single profile to one slot. Anytime during combat, you can switch between one of these 4 slots, giving you access to up to 12 of your favorite skills during the course of a single fight. Here's an example. In this battle, I've equipped a favorites loadout designed for long-range combat, utilizing cloak and a sniper rifle to suppress oncoming enemies. The sniper alone isn't enough, so I'll deploy an assault turret and toss some grenades before switching to my second favorites loadout. It's designed for close-quarters combat. Loading these new abilities puts them in a cooldown by default, so I'll have to make do with my shotgun until they're ready. The Fiend is too powerful and I'm not in any position to take it out immediately, but my new favorites are ready. I'll make my getaway using Biotic Charge and then maneuver around this group of enemies. This favorites loadout is particularly combo friendly, so I'll engage by comboing Cryo Beam and Lance for an explosive result, then clean up with my shotgun. It looks like the Fiend has taken an interest. I'll do what I can from a distance before switching to my third favorites loadout. One that emphasizes ranged biotic abilities such as Backlash and Shockwave, as well as Flamethrower. Let's see if we can find a better vantage point and stall the Fiend's approach. Using Backlash, I can shield myself from oncoming fire and deflect it back at the enemy. This is particularly useful against large crowds of enemies. However, this horde is scattered, so I'll need to regroup. Looks like the Fiend has other plans. I'll stand my ground by using Shockwave and then follow that up with Flamethrower. The Fiend is hurt, but it's going to take more than that to defeat it. Switching to my final favorites loadout, I'll engage the Fiend with soldier-focused abilities. Let's finish it off with Flak Cannon and Trip Mines. And when it comes to combat, don't forget your squad. Each of your 6 squad mates has 3 active and 2 passive skills. In this case, Cora uses her biotics as a support character, and Drac is a bruiser who can soak up lots of damage. Not only can you set your squad up around the battlefield, ordering them to defend locations, attack targets, or rally to your side, but you can also team up with them for devastating power combos. Power combos activate when you or one of your squad mates primes an enemy or groups of enemies, setting them up for the kill. Then you or a squad mate jumps in to detonate and finish the job. And you can always level up your squad mates to make them specifically good at priming or detonating targets. Subscribe to see the next installment in the gameplay series for a look at exploration in Mass Effect Andromeda. Welcome to the Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay series. In Mass Effect Andromeda, you are the Pathfinder, the ultimate adventure in a vast, unexplored galaxy on a mission to find a new home for humanity.
Can you make it somewhere tropical? Nice, warm ocean, summer year-round?
Our first video will take a look at weapons and skills. Andromeda's action is built around fluid, fast-paced, third-person combat. Our combat offers amazing freedom of movement with the use of a jump jet that allows you to jump, evade, and even hover while you're fighting. You'll also notice a new dynamic cover system that allows you to seamlessly use almost anything, including your own vehicle, for cover. All this freedom allows you to approach the battle in a way that suits your gameplay style. Let's take a closer look at our weapons. In Mass Effect Andromeda, there are 4 categories of guns: pistols, shotguns, and sniper and assault rifles, plus a range of melee weapons for up-close combat. All guns are available to every player. There are no class restrictions, so if you decide you want to try something new, it's as easy as switching your loadout. Guns and gear in Andromeda fall into 3 technology types based on where the tech comes from. Milky Way weapons typically use physical projectile ammunition that's similar to the types of weapons you might be familiar with from our original games, with some advancements, of course. These are high-impact projectile-based guns. They're great against most non-shielded targets, but require you to keep an eye on your ammo. Remnant weapons typically use beams, have a high rate of fire, and are extremely accurate. They use the overheat system and don't rely on ammo, so you'll never run out of ammo, but you'll have to wait for your gun to cool down from time to time. Helios weapons are technology from civilizations that live in the Helios cluster of Andromeda. They are generally plasma-based, which means they are slower speed, but benefit from heat-seeking technology. While some are charge-based, the longer you charge them before releasing, the harder they hit. Melee weapons vary in both damage and speed. Hard-hitting hammers do maximum damage, while lightning-fast shivs or swords allow you to get in and out of harm's way with maximum speed and precision. In addition to weapons, you can also develop skills and abilities. Like the weapons, there are no restrictions on what skills you can choose, and each of the 3 main categories is designed to facilitate a certain style of play. Combat skills are great if you want to focus on weapons, gear, and making your character the ultimate soldier. These skills focus on improving weapon damage and accuracy, as well as giving you the ability to use flat cannons, grenades, trip mines, and more. Tech skills allow you to equip your Pathfinder with more experimental weaponry, or focus on strategic improvements for you and your squad. Cryo beam and flamethrower give you more offensive punch, while skills like invasion or energy drain weaken your opponents and make them easier to take down. Want a little extra help? Deploy your own assault turret. Last but not least, biotics. By controlling dark energy, your Pathfinder can harness the power of mass and gravity. Biotic skills like pull and throw allow you to literally control the battlefield, using your enemies as a shield or even a weapon. Abilities like Annihilation Shield or Singularity can disrupt and damage anything or anyone caught up in their powerful grip. Each skill can be upgraded to become increasingly more devastating and effective. Each also has choices to make when upgrading, offering you more ways to customize your playstyle. Now that we have the basics down, let's put this into action. In this case, our Pathfinder is equipped with a sniper rifle and a shotgun, and they've got their 3 powers selected. You'll notice that different enemies each behave in unique ways. Some will keep their distance and try to snipe us. Others will charge right in and try to flush us out of cover. Sticky grenades is an advanced version of the Omni Grenade combat skill. They're effective against just about anything, but they have a limited supply. Enemies each have different strengths and weaknesses. For most, headshots inflict maximum damage, but you'll need to pay attention to their health bars. Yellow means they've got armor and won't be as susceptible to certain weapons and powers. Blue means they're shielded, and in addition to being more resistant to biotics, you'll generally need to deal with those shields before their health goes down. And just like you, their shields will recharge if you don't finish them off quickly. Tactical Cloak is a tech skill that allows you to evade enemy detection and inflict increased damage when attacking from cloak. And finally, Overload. Another tech skill that's great for taking out enemy shields and synthetic enemies. By holding it before releasing, you can even chain it to multiple enemies. And this is just one of the hundreds of combinations of weapons and skills you can try in Andromeda. Stay tuned for future installments where we'll show you our profiles to give you an added boost in combat, favorites which allow you immediate access to your sets of powers so you can change up on the fly, and squad skills and commands.